don't know. Probably, I had a little butterflies, before the first tackle, but after I got tackled, it's game on. Ball went to rolling.
How was that first drive? I mean, 11 runs, just moved the ball down the field.
It was awesome. We came out with a bang. We came in and scored. Second drive, we didn't score. Third drive, we didn't score. So I started getting ticked off. I'm like, man, we got to put points on the board. Our defense keep getting out there. We're not performing well. So, yeah, it was pretty cool for the first drive.
Lamar, we know how much you hate interceptions. I mean, what was kind of going through your head in the moments after that play? I mean, we saw Joe
I got to
get a
score.
tap on the helmet.
I have to score.
Yeah.
I got to put my team in a good situation. I put our defense in a bad situation. They caught an interception. They ran to like the 30-yard line. And I'm like, yeah, they backed up. So they probably kick a field goal and score. We got to go down there and punch it in for them.
Lamar, what did Joe Flacco say to you at any, not maybe on that play or even all week leading up to this game about you making the start? Can you share anything that Flacco said to you specifically?
No, not really. We just in the meeting room going over the game plan. So
Lamar, do you think you're about that you were going to be a certain quarterback?
same thing with coach. I've been new, but got to play how it goes.
How did it feel when you got the news that you were going to do
It was
that?
pretty cool. I just know I had to work harder, focus in, and focus in on the game plan.
When you were envisioning how this day would go, did you envision that you would run the ball as many times as you did?
I didn't envision the game being that close. I said that, that too. I didn't think I'd run the ball that much, but, whatever it takes to win, I'm on it.
You mean that you felt like you were going to put up a ton of points? Like, how did you envision
Not that, but I just didn't want the game to come down to our defense out there on the field. I'd rather than our hands, we going down there and ending the game, not putting our defense out there.
Do you think your body can sustain that much pounding
Yeah.
a week in, week out?
Yeah, but hopefully I don't got to use it like that. Just sit back and throw the ball.
Here he is, Lamar Jackson, his post-game press conference. I am telling you, people all over the country talking about this rookie quarterback and his performance yesterday. The big question, and I want to hear from you if you're listening, 410-319-8888. Should we play rookie Lamar Jackson instead of Flacco? What do you think? Give us a call. A lot of people weighing in on social media all day telling Joe Flacco, watch out. You're in trouble. I'm telling you, we're just proud of this young man and his performance yesterday. But some people are saying, wait a minute, too much pressure. You're making too much of this. It's one game. I am excited about my guest today. I'm telling this voice that the voice of Morgan Sports, WEAA Sports contributor, Lamont Germany joins me. Lamont, always great to talk to you.
Anthony McCarthy, been a while, man.
It's
How are
been
you?
a long time. It's good to talk to you. I tell you, you have one of the most recognizable voices in college sports. And I get excited every time I can talk about sports with you. Thanks for joining me today.
Call my pleasure, man. And a pleasure to talk about the young talent we got at quarterback at Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is, I'm just stunned. Andre Melton's here. He's a sports analyst, co-founder of the Flex Zone. Andre.
What's up, Dre?
Hey, what's going on, LG?
Lamar Jackson, that's what's going on, man.
That's what's up.
He jumped off the charts with me when he was in college at Louisville.
Uh-huh.
And saw his second college game when he was the quarterback for the Cardinals. And it was clear that he had off-the-charts athleticism, that he had the kind of moxie and arrogance that I think you also need in order to play that position. And did his thing in college and now getting an opportunity in the NFL. But, guys, I would add a couple of cautionary notes about the excitement that we're all still living off of from yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You can run around in college.
Yes.
And you can excite people in college. And you can run around for a little while in the NFL. But it is difficult over the long term to make your living running as a quarterback in the National Football League. And you need not look any further than the Baltimore Ravens roster. The third string quarterback on this team is a guy named RG3.
Yes, indeed.
He was Lamar Jackson several years ago. The quarterback that excited Washington's fan base. And he ran the ball a lot several years ago. What happens when you run the ball in the National Football League? You expose yourself to being hit.
Yeah.
and it becomes a matter of attrition. And when you get hit too often by some of the biggest, strongest, fastest athletes on the planet, it will take its toll.
Yeah.
The thing that excites me about Lamar Jackson is not his running ability. He can throw the football.
Yeah.
And I think he has longevity potential because of his ability to beat people with his arm. I think there's going to be limits just because of the nature of the league in terms of how long you're going to be able to kill people running the ball. He's not going to run 24 times every game. You're just not going to be able to do that and last in the National Football League. And as to the question you posed, Anthony, at the top of the program, of course you start Lamar Jackson. Of course. So they won't have to make the decision this coming week. I don't think Flacco will be ready for the Ravens, for the Raiders game this coming week. So I think it'll be Lamar because I think Flacco just won't be healthy enough. But moving forward, I think you have to go with Lamar.
Before I bring Dre into this conversation, Lamont, let me ask you, should we read anything into the face of Joe Flacco on the sidelines yesterday? He's
competitive.
He had that look like, wait a minute.
Well,
but he believes in his team. Okay.
I wanted to be in the room back in April when the Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson. The look on Joe Flacco's face then probably reflects what we saw on the sideline. You don't draft a quarterback with that kind of talent potential unless you plan to play him, and unless you plan to play him sooner rather than later. Joe Flacco has more days behind him than he has in front in the National Football League. And I think he knows that.
I think he knows that.
The future for Baltimore quarterback, we saw it yesterday in Lamar Jackson.
Joining us also, Damaris Dye is here, owner of the Dye Sporting Network. He's a sports broadcaster for the Flex Zone, as well as he is the voice and the face of high school sports coverage here in Maryland. Damaris, thanks for joining us.
Anthony, pleasure's all mine. Thank you. And nice to see you back here at WAA.
I love being at WEAA. Let's bring Dre into this conversation. Dre, a lot of hype, a lot of talk all over the country all day about young rookie Lamar Jackson.
Well, to D would know this, that I was wrong about Lamar Jackson.
Oh, what a big man!
I'll admit, I really didn't expect all this from him. My biggest problem with Lamar was, could he throw the football accurately? I knew that once the Ravens drafted him, that he would be the quarterback of the future. We've seen some good things with him during the preseason, but I was wondering how it would be when it actually came to a regular NFL season game. And yesterday, he just really balled out. I mean, as Dion would say, when you ball, you get the call. So I was, like I said, I was fairly surprised. 13 for 19. We're talking about accuracy.
Isn't that something?
Him being able to throw the football like that and to be able to have that high of a completion percentage, he amazed me. The one interception that he threw, I thought that he forced that ball, but he's a rookie, so those type of things will happen. But he's fast. He was able to open up the playbook. It seemed like a different energy out there when he hit the field.
I want to talk about that here in a second. Let's not talk about it too quick. Okay. Damaris, give me your thoughts. Lamar Jackson, an incredible game yesterday.
You know, watching him yesterday, and I agree with Mr. Lamont that he's flashy. He has the confidence. He
has the arrogance. I love it.
I love it personally. Me and Dre was kind of similar with the throwing motion. He didn't throw much in the first quarter. The throwing motion still needs to be worked on. I think off season it needs to be tweaked somewhat still, but he has the confidence. He knows how to get it to the guys. And Willie Snead is one of the best hands in all of football. And he definitely helped him yesterday. But Oakland's coming up. I would definitely start him against the Raiders. But then he goes on the road to Atlanta and Kansas City, and that's going to be a huge test for any rookie quarterback to go on the road and play in them two hostile environments.
Lamont, let me ask you this, and I want Dre and Damaris, I want you to chime in on this as well. There have been these cautionary tales, as Lamont Germany said, all day. People are saying, hold on. Let's not, a great game, a great performance, but he is not the second coming of Christ. Let's slow it down, slow your roll. do we need to be careful, or do we want so badly something different? And I hate to say it, something different than Joe Flacco, that people are ready to put the crown on Lamar Jackson.
I think actually it's a little bit of both. There's no way you can look at Lamar Jackson play football and not get excited.
That's right.
He has a kind of talent that is going to catch your eyes. But this is a game of constant adjustments. There are going to be teams moving forward now that they know Lamar Jackson for the next week or two is going to be the quarterback. They're going to scheme and game plan specifically to stop him. And when that begins to happen, when you have defensive coordinators spending all week long designing defenses to just stop you, when there are players on the other side of the ball who spend all week watching your tendencies and their eyes on,
and they are
just
studying
stopping you.
Yeah.
Can you adjust to being the guy, the target that they are going after week in and week out? And that's the key to what separates the men from the boys in terms of quarterbacks who have staying power and longevity. And that's something we can't know until Lamar Jackson is in week 2, 3, 6, 8 as the starting quarterback. We have to wait and see how he adjusts to the adjustments that are inevitably going to come from the opposition.
Dre, what do you think now? Oakland's coming, and then we're going on the road. Are we putting too much? I'm with Lamont. You can't help but get excited if you watched him yesterday. But do we need to be cautious?
You should be a little cautious, but at the same time, I mean, this is the future quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they drafted him. There are already talks about Harbaugh leaving after this season.
Woo!
So, I mean, moving forward, you want to see what he has. I mean, you don't draft somebody that high and not see what he has moving forward with your future. They got Oakland coming up, then the Falcons, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Chargers, and then they end the season against the Browns. So right now the Ravens are sitting
and
at
Flacco
that.
will be back by then, but
well, I mean, if this boy keeps playing the way he's playing, and right now the Ravens are at that 6th seed. They honestly just have to win a couple of games. And like D said, the Falcons on the road and the Chiefs on the road, those are going to be his biggest 2 tests moving forward. But they actually are winnable games. And he could actually make some noise. And I think the Ravens actually, if they keep Lamar Jackson in, they'll make the playoffs. If they keep Flacco in, I don't see them making the playoffs.
Wow. Lamont gave us some wisdom. We've got to see how this young man adjusts. It's got to be a constant change and adjustment made. Is he ready for this, DeMars?
I think he can be. It's just the Ravens, with the win yesterday, opened up the rest of the playoff spots up for several other teams behind the Colts, Titans, even though they lost yesterday. These teams, the Dolphins, are back in it, and the pressure is going to be on. And it's just hard. I know a lot of people may be saying go back to Flacco because we're trying to make the playoffs, but at the same time, you got to see what your future is.
And I don't want to just get stuck on money, but we are paying Joe Flacco a lot of money.
Yeah, we're paying him a lot of money. And I think Lamar can live up to the pressure.
I do too.
He won a Heisman Trophy at Louisville. I know a lot of people say that don't matter in the NFL, but it does. I think it does. It gives a lot of pressure. He has natural leadership abilities, and that's what's going to help him. That helps you at the quarterback spot big time.
Dre, I was very impressed yesterday with his comfort level in that press conference. He was just so relaxed and good sense of humor, very serious about his team and about his players. A leader, a real leader. He exercised extraordinary leadership yesterday.
Yes, but like LG said, in college you saw that he had an it factor. D said that he won a Heisman Trophy before, so he is a level of comfort that he's already been here before, and now it's kind of like I've arrived and this is my time. That's how I felt when he approached that podium. That, you know what, this is, I can do this. And he, like he said, he got those butterflies up out of him once he got that first hit. And then it was smooth sailing from there. I thought that, like I said, he brings this leadership, it's electricity when he comes in there.
There is some energy, Lamont, Germany. I mean, I was at the game yesterday. I was watching people as they were leaving. Now there's always a lot of hype and when the Ravens win. But I must tell you, there was some electricity as people were leaving that stadium yesterday.
It's because those people saw the Ravens offense last year, and it was horrific. And they got a chance to see what it could be yesterday with Lamar at the controls. A rookie quarterback's best friend, however, is having a good running back in the backfield and a good offensive line. And I think where we may run into some difficulties is the Ravens are marginal on both of those counts. I like Gus Edwards. Dre and I saw Gus Edwards when he was running back at Rutgers last year when they played against Oregon. He's a hard-nosed runner. I think that the Ravens moving forward, however, may have to elevate that position in order to get the maximum out of the quarterback they have in Lamar Jackson. It helps to give the defense something else to worry about. And if they have that element in the backfield as well as the targets that he has at receiver, I think you could have something special here in Baltimore. Got to keep him healthy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the best way to keep him healthy is to not eliminate how often he runs, because you got to show him off.
That's
sometime.
right. You got to.
But I think you got to manage the number. It can't be 24 every week.
Folks, I want to invite you to join our conversation. Lamont Germany is with us, WEAA sports contributor. Andre Melton, sports analyst, co-founder of the Flex Zone. Damaris Dye, owner of the Dye Sporting Network and a sports broadcaster on the Flex Zone. And you at 410-319-8888. What did you think of yesterday's game? Lamar Jackson electrifying Ravens fans and sports fans all over the country. 410-319, here come the calls, 319-8888. That's the number to join our conversation. Should we play rookie Lamar Jackson instead of Flacco? What? I'm sure you all heard that. What do you think? I want to hear from you. 410-319-8888. Damaris Dye, we said a cautionary note. He did a lot of running yesterday. And people were so excited. I was watching the commentators. They just could not get over it. He would take off. They were excited by it. But boy, he's got to be careful. We can't afford for him to get beat up.
And one of the things, the interception that he threw.
Oh, yeah.
Was untimely. But the tackle he made, he didn't make it with his hands, kind of with his back. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You can't. I know you're trying to stop him, but you can't do it like that, man. But it'll learn in time. I think he'll get used to the NFL. This offseason is going to be a real huge offseason for him, regardless of what the Ravens do. But we talking about running backs.
Yes, we are.
Mr. Lamar was talking about it. How about Le'Veon Bell? Lamar Jackson, same backfield.
No, well, not for no 17 mil per year.
No. We were talking about the cost. Le'Veon Bell wants payback. Steelers burned him. It's in the same division with him. The Ravens' rivalry against the Steelers the last couple of years haven't had that spice, that intensity, that sports-like hatred. And you would get it back at Le'Veon Bell comes to Baltimore.
I'm telling you, I'm excited by this. Dre, now what do we need to look for? If you were whispering into the ear of Lamar Jackson or Coach Harbaugh, what would you say? All right, you've got it. You've got the intensity. You've got the leadership, but this is what you need to watch out for.
Don't run this boy as much. That's what I would say. But, I mean, LG did say that he has RG3 backing him up.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that unlike RG3, he actually learned how to slide. Like Lamar has this instinct about him where he can actually avoid the hits. He's not gonna run into trouble. I think he knows how to get out of bounds, shift away, and not really take those hits. So I think he'll be able to actually last long. And Michael Vick is really huge on this guy.
Oh, he sure is. I was listening to him yesterday.
Michael Vick ran a 4.3 during his combine, and at Lamar's pro day, he ran a 4.3. So they both are very fast.
Lamont, did you see some Michael Vick in Lamar yesterday?
I did in the athleticism, but I think where Lamar gets a little separation from Michael Vick, I think that Lamar is more efficient a passer at this stage in his career than Michael Vick was coming out of Virginia Tech. When he first landed in the NFL. And I think the thing that is going to elevate Lamar is everybody's looking at his running ability. I think his ability to throw the football is the thing that will ultimately be what makes him a quarterback that has staying power. And ironically, his ability to throw the football will open up more running lanes for him when he decides to pull it down and run the football. If he's going to last in this league, he's got to be able to throw the rock. Running is fun. That's the sugar high. But what's going to sustain him is the ability to hang in that pocket and complete passes. That will keep him around for the long haul.
Folks, every phone line is full. We're going to go to your calls right after this break. Lamont Germany is with me, WEA sports contributor, Andre Melton, sports analyst, co-founder of the Flexstone. Damaris Dye is here, owner of the Dye Sporting Network. Make sure you check it out. Sports broadcaster for the Flexstone. And we're going to be taking your calls when we come back. This is Today with Dr. K. I'm Anthony McCarthy. Lamar Jackson set us on fire yesterday. Everyone's talking about it all over the country. We're going to talk with you when we return in just a moment.
Jazz is an essential part of the universal language of music, one that anyone can understand and connect to. Music like this deserves a secure home on the radio dial. Become a part of the team that helps make great jazz possible. Do your part now by making a donation to keep jazz on Public Radio 88.9 alive and well. Go to WEAA.org and click the Donate Now button. Thank you for listening.
Peace. This is Faraji Muhammad. Tune into the cultural, academic, controversial, and always thought-provoking conversations happening Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on For the Culture. We got those conversations that will get you talking, thinking, and laughing wherever you are. So ride with me weeknights from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with For the Culture here on your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org, the voice of the community.
Your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM, the voice of the community.
I'm Anthony McCarthy. This is Today with Dr. K. Dr. K's on vacation. We've been talking in the first part of this hour about yesterday's Baltimore Ravens game and Lamar Jackson, rookie quarterback. He really set the team, the country, sports fans all over the Ravens nation on fire yesterday. People were excited as they were leaving the stadium yesterday. They were yelling and screaming in my ear. People were talking about his performance. 117 yards, 27 attempts. He really was amazing. One of the telltale signs, of course, was the look on Joe Flacco's face on the sideline. Joining me is Lamont Germany. He is a WEAA sports contributor. He is just probably one of the most knowledgeable sports minds we have in radio. Lamont, I appreciate you staying with me.
Oh, not a problem. I'm enjoying it, Anthony.
Isaiah George is here. He is a Roden Fellow at the ESPN, The Undefeated. He is one of our young men in the studio. Can't wait to pick his brain on young Lamar Jackson. 410-319-8888 is the number to tell us what you're thinking. If you're listening to Public Radio WEAA, if you call in, every line is busy. Everybody has something they want to contribute to this conversation. The big question is, should we play rookie Lamar Jackson instead of Flacco? I want to know what you think. Let's take some of these callers before Isaiah and Lamont jump back in. Let's go to Lewis. New calling from Northwest Baltimore. Appreciate you calling, Lewis. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, if he doesn't play, the Ravens not going to make the playoffs. I went to the game 2 weeks ago against the Saints. And Flacco, he's just garbage. And then he told you yesterday he's not a good teammate. He didn't go over there and try to talk to the guy to help him. And Lamar Jackson is the real deal. Hey, what he did in college, he going to do in the pros. He needs a chance to play. Once he gets a chance, he going to show everybody. I told the people that 3 weeks ago at the stadium. This guy the real deal. I seen him do this thing against Florida State.
Wow.
When they had the good team. He the real deal. And then everybody else is going ahead and putting in another quarterback. Flacco should have been benched. Harbaugh and him both need to be gone.
Wow. Lewis, I appreciate your call. Lamont, Germany, Joe Flacco's taking some hits on this rookie player. People are just naturally want to pit our starting quarterback against this young player. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I think that if you're Joe Flacco, you're seeing the future.
Yeah, you see it. You see
maybe the lack of future.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those sensitive situations where you clearly have the incumbent in Joe Flacco, who has a resume. He has a championship. He's taken this team to the promised land, and it's not easy to get to. And I think that there has to be some degree of appreciation for what Joe Flacco has done for the franchise. I remember how this franchise looked pre-Joe Flacco.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I remember a guy named Kyle Bowler, who was the quarterback for the Ravens.
Wow.
Who was garbage. I'll use a kind term. Flacco was head and shoulders above Kyle Bowler. And he took the team, the franchise, to a place that it never would have gotten to with Kyle Bowler at quarterback. So I think for that, Ravens fans need to be thankful of what Joe Flacco has contributed to the cause. But Lamar Jackson is another level.
Isaiah,
and I think that they have to, if you're the Ravens, give him every opportunity to show what he has. I disagree with the caller. You're not going to be able to do in the NFL what you did in college.
Yeah.
It's not college football.
Right.
There's a difference between college football. I do college football every week. And there's a difference between college football and the NFL. But I think the Ravens realize that. I think he realizes that. That doesn't mean he can't excel
of course,
in the NFL, because I think he can. But to ask him to duplicate what he did at Louisville, I think is a bit much.
Isaiah George, so thank you for joining us. Give me your thoughts as you were watching the game yesterday.
Something that I kind of got from that, he had 27 rushes. That's a lot. And I know you guys touched on that a little bit, but having Robert Griffin there, I think that was on purpose. They signed him at the beginning of April this year. And then at the end of April, they had the draft. They traded up to get Lamar. I think that was on purpose, because whether or not Robert Griffin is, helping or mentoring Lamar Jackson, the caller mentioned that he didn't see Joe Flacco near Lamar or helping him. And whether Robert is doing that or not, that's always going to be a reminder in the back of Lamar Jackson's head that he saw what happened to Robert Griffin, who ran so much in Washington his rookie year and got hurt actually against the Ravens. That initial knee injury against Haloti Ngata. So I think what the Ravens are doing are smart, as long as they control his rushing and make sure that he doesn't get that 20 plus carries a game, but he can use his legs to help elevate the game.
Listen to this young man. Alfonso's on the line, the new caller. Welcome to the program, Alfonso.
How you doing today?
Doing well. Give me your thoughts, Lamar Jackson.
I feel as though we should start Lamar Jackson for the rest of the season.
Wow.
And see what happens from there. And if we get into the playoffs, I would go back to Joe.
Now, why would you go back?
Because people seem to forget what Joe Flacco does in the playoffs. This is a quarterback who's been solid for 11 years. I'd take that any day as opposed to the Cleveland Browns, when they've been looking for a quarterback since they started. Am I right? Am I right or wrong?
What do you think, Lamont, Germany?
I don't like to go on back and forth with quarterbacks. I think your quarterback needs to be your quarterback, and he needs to know that he's going to be your guy. You want your quarterback, more so than maybe any other player on the field, They have the confidence that once you give me the keys to the car, you're going to let me drive.
Mm-hmm.
If I get you to the playoffs and now you take the car keys away from me, I think that's going to be problematic moving forward. I think if you decide to go with Lamar, then it's Lamar. If you decide to go with Joe, then it's Joe.
And I think
I got to go with Lamar.
I think after that press
Isaiah
conference, they I think John Harbaugh does want to go with Lamar, and he seemed a lot more happier than he did earlier in the week when he had to answer questions about who was going to play, and he just seemed confident in Lamar going forward.
Mhm.
And I think he knows that if he would have kept Joe Flacco starting, he would have been in the hot seat, continued to be in the hot seat, or possibly fired at the end of the year. So he's looking at Lamar Jackson as a chance to save his job, I think.
I think he's still gone. Brown from Sandtown is next.
Brown from Sandtown. How y'all doing?
Always great to talk to you, Brown.
Yes. Well, he played. Matter of fact, I think the Ravens trying to end his career on purpose.
Wow.
He played the most dangerous game I ever seen a quarterback play. To run the ball for over 100 yards as a quarterback is unheard of. He's supposed to use that ability to scramble out of situations behind the line of scrimmage to release the ball downfield. When he get up against a good defense, he is finished. He'll never make it. And it was just unbelievable for him to run the ball like that. It's just dangerous. As good quarterbacks does not run the ball. He didn't show me anything.
Isaiah,
he didn't show me anything at all.
Isaiah, let me ask you. I keep hearing people say we're not going to make it to the playoffs unless we keep playing Lamar Jackson. Do you make that same prediction?
I believe so. When you look at the beginning of the season, Joe Flacco, he was playing well, and I think that was good for Lamar, because I didn't necessarily want Lamar playing this year, because I felt as if it would be better for him to sit and learn behind Joe Flacco. Whether Joe was helping him or not, he could at least learn from his mannerisms. The guy has won a Super Bowl, so he can learn something from him, and still have RG3 on that team to help him develop as a running quarterback and be a successful one and learn from Robert's mistakes. But I don't think you win with Joe Flacco at this point. The stretch that they had before this game, it didn't go too well. It was way different from the start that they had, and the hip injury and everything. I think we may have seen Joe Flacco. This is the last time we've seen Joe Flacco playing as a Raven.
I want to play this clip. John Harbaugh in the locker room, this victory speech. Do we have this clip? I just want you to hear this. There is a certain amount of energy in John Harbaugh's voice that really we have not heard in a while. Listen to the coach, John Harbaugh.
That was a Ravens victory. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty, but it was the Ravens. Because the Ravens fight. I remember that thing yesterday. What did it say? Good. Good. All right. We lined up the wrong way on 4th down and 1. Good. All right. Lamar scramble around. Lamar scramble around. Do a pick. Good. We got down to the 3-yard line, and I don't even know what the hell happened. Kick the field goal. Good. Yeah. Give me something else. What else happened? Oh, we had to kick off return. Whatever the hell happened. We got the ball at the 9-yard line. Good. Give me something else that happened. Oh, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. They get a 3rd down conversion. Got the ball in scoring range. Good. We got them backed up to the 9-yard line to win the game. The tight end runs a little shake route. High throw comes down with a spectacular catch. Good. What else? Give me something else.
Lamont Germany, everyone is saying RG3 is Mr. Miyagi, that he is the wisdom that's mentoring young Lamar Jackson. Did you hear in the coach's voice, do you think that yesterday, Lamar Jackson saved John Harbaugh's job?
Yeah, Harbaugh's not stupid. He knows he got something special in Lamar Jackson. And I think that's why he's going to be cautious with how he uses him moving forward. He realizes what the risks are in the National Football League. He's been around long enough to know that. But he recognizes that he has a special talent in Lamar Jackson. And that's another thing that a player like Lamar Jackson does.
Mm-hmm.
He infuses enthusiasm throughout the locker room, the coaches, his fellow players, the trainer, the water boy, the cheerleaders. Everybody gets enthused when you know you have an it player. They have an it player, and they got to manage that it player properly moving forward if they want to maximize his talents.
Let's take some more calls before we lose you, Lamont Jeremy. Leroy is calling from Baltimore. Leroy, welcome to Today with Dr. K.
Yeah, hello.
Hey, you're on there.
Yeah, I did not see anything yesterday because I'm still boycotting the NFL. I don't watch pro football.
Okay.
However, if Lamar Jackson runs the ball, he will not last 1 millisecond.
All right. Thank you, Leroy. Kim is on the line from Randallstown. Kim, I appreciate you listening. Give me your thoughts. Lamar Jackson.
Thank you for taking my call.
Appreciate you calling.
I must admit, I got a little nervous, and I said, "Is he trying to win the game all by himself?" And so, but I think it was shock and awe, and I think it does something for the Ravens because everybody gets outgained after about the third game.
Yeah.
They know what we're going to do, and I think this will put some suspense. Will he run? Will he throw? And I did see him make that run and throw, which proves to me that he can get out of the pocket and still see that man downfield. So I'm hopeful. But they don't need to play him every game. They need to just keep it up a little bit. Let's let Cole get in and see if he can redeem himself. That's it for me.
All right, Kim, thank you. 410-319-8888 is the number. We want you to join us. We're talking about rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson and his incredible game yesterday. A lot of people, sports fans all over Baltimore, the Ravens Nation was lit up yesterday. I was watching some of the post commentaries and people just could not stop praising this young quarterback. 410-319-8888. Lamont, we're going to lose you in just a few minutes. So I want to give you a chance to give us some final thoughts. We don't want this star to burn out too quickly, but you got to play him while he's hot.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I don't think there'll be any question about this coming week's game against the Raiders. I don't think Flacco will be ready to go. So it'll be Lamar Jackson again. And the key is consistency. Doing it once is fine. Can you do it week in and week out, game in and game out against different defenses, different schemes? And what happens when he has that first bad game?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
Does he react in a manner that makes bad even worse, or does he overcome the adversity? All of those are tests yet to be seen in the development of Lamar Jackson. But we saw what the ceiling could be tomorrow. And I will agree with one of the previous callers. The bread and butter cannot be running the football. I mean, that's the ice cream and cake, and it looks good. But you can't have ice cream and cake for breakfast, lunch
every day. That's right.
It's not going to work. And I think the Ravens realize it. I think he realizes it. You have to measure when you use that asset. And if you do that, I think they'll be fine. But it's going to be a step-by-step process. But you have to love what you've seen from his first start yesterday when he got it done. In the game, by the way, the Ravens had to win. That was a big one.
That was a good win.
Against the Bengals. Or they may not be looking at postseason were it not for the win yesterday against Cincinnati.
Lamont Germany, I appreciate you. Always love listening to you on college sports. You are the voice. I appreciate you spending time with us. WEA sports contributor Lamont Germany. Thanks for joining me today.
Anthony, my pleasure. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Anytime.
you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, man.
Isaiah, let me ask you this, because we keep talking about this running game, but we know when he was in college, we know that he has the leadership. As Dre said, he has the it factor.
Right.
But he can throw this ball as well.
Oh, he can, and you saw that as well. He did have a mistake that kind of, I think, was kind of, you know, his little rookie moment there where he made a great juke move on a Bengals linebacker.
Wow.
You know, left him in the dust, and then decided to throw the ball and ended up throwing an interception. So there's still a lot to his game it's going to be like an adjustment period that people have to kind of get used to, those bumps in the road. But he can definitely throw the ball. You saw that in Louisville where he didn't have a lot of good receivers to work with. I mean, you can barely name a receiver that he had at Louisville. So he's been able to work with less. And at the Ravens now, he has Willie Snead, Michael Crabtree. He has good running backs with him with Alex Collins and Gus Edwards. So you'll be able to see him throw the ball a lot more coming, and the rushing less. I think the more he progresses and the more the season goes on.
Isaiah George is a Roden Fellow at the ESPN, The Undefeated. He's a voice right here on WEAA with us today. We've been talking about Lamar Jackson and his incredible game yesterday. 410-319-8888. Jamila's on the line from Northwest Baltimore. Jamila, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hey, I love that voice. Welcome to the show.
The Dallas Cowboys.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking? Jamila? Did we lose her? Call back. Please, you got my curiosity all up.
I know. I was wondering, is that a comparison?
Oh, there you are. There you are.
There she is. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm in my car.
That's all right.
What I said was the Ravens better take a page from the Dallas Cowboys and let him play.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it. Well, I think they're going to take your advice. I don't think they're going back to Joe.
Yeah.
It's certainly not this week. They're not going back to Joe. Bobby's calling from West Baltimore. Bobby, you're on the line. Welcome to the program.
How y'all doing today?
Hey, man.
I'm just saying, why is we so opposed to change? You know, because like even when Warren Moon came into the league, they didn't want that 5 receivers. They didn't even have a running back.
Moon, yes.
That run and shoot thing, but he was breaking all kind of records in the Canadian League. And when he came into the NFL, they didn't want him to break all them records, averaging 5,000 yards a season. That ain't no quarterback of the day. Brady and none of them did that.
No, indeed.
So it's about change, man. And tried it in Philly, but it didn't work. Kelly, with all that college stuff, the razzle-dazzle Wildcat thing. But I mean, the thing is, if it's working, work it till it working.
Work it till it doesn't work anymore.
We had W's, man. You can break up with somebody, you just stay in a messed up relationship. Joe Flacco did do his thing. I'm grateful that we did win a Super Bowl with him. But how long do we stay in the mess? And I'm not saying that mess. He do have a good playoff record.
He does.
But the bottom line is, if there's something about
we lost him. Mr. P calling from Pikesville. You're on the line with us. Welcome to Today with Dr. K.
Thank you. It's something about letting us play. That's what I hope you were finishing that. But I'm glad that you cut that guy off. He said he was protesting the NFL. I'm glad you cut him off because we didn't need to hear that. But
go ahead, Mr. P. All right.
If Harbaugh would put aside his differences, he got some differences with us.
Mm-hmm. I think we're having some problems with
He show folks a little bit
Mm-hmm.
because he can get hurt, But we play like we're supposed to play because he let us play.
Mm-hmm.
He let us play, man, and that was if he let us play other 2 games before this one, we would have won. But you can't. He ain't gonna let nobody else come in there while that Flacco is not hurt. And man, I never seen nothing like it. And that conversation that they had in the locker room, it was amazing to him because he never seen nothing like it.
Did you hear John Harbaugh's voice?
Yes.
We had to bleep out some of those words. They were hyped up.
Yeah. But he never seen nothing like it in the game because he let us play.
Mm-hmm.
He let us call some shots.
Mm. Mr. P, I appreciate
I read that all through the game. He let us play.
Isaiah George, let me ask you about Joe Flacco. we can't forget the leadership of Joe Flacco.
Exactly.
I mean, he's had some problems, but we cannot. And not only that, I mean, I hate to make it so bottom line. We're paying this man an enormous amount of money.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Flacco, he has put in the work, and before when he got that contract, he put in the work to deserve it, especially that playoff run that he had. So, I mean, it's no disrespect to Joe Flacco, but when you look at it, it's just his time is over. His era is done.
His time is over.
You can see that. I mean, the last couple of years, the way the Ravens have struggled, and Joe Flacco hasn't been able to get it done. And this year, in which we're hearing stuff about, you know, how they had Tyrod Taylor and how not helping him and things like that. So it's starting not to look good. And one thing I hope from this is if he is released by the Ravens after this year, which it most likely is going to happen, is that I would want to see him really retire, because if you go to another team and you flame out, now you're not remembered as a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Now you're remembered as the guy that got beat up by the rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson, got ran out of town, went somewhere and flamed out. If you retire, you're looked at as still one of the better Ravens players to come through that franchise and win them their second Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the best bet for Joe Flacco after this year. If he is let go by the team, is to retire.
410-319-8888. I want you to let you know, programming note, in the next hour, we're talking about St. Francis Academy and this incredible high school football team, and the decision by some other teams that they will not play St. Francis is caused headlines around the country. People have been talking about this incredible parochial school football team and what is at the heart of why these teams will not play this team, this black team. 410-319-8888. Mr. Awesome, welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing today?
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Well, I was at the stadium yesterday. I was actually working it. And that first drive looked very impressive for Lamar. Great running game, great, just all around, great changing the game plan for him. Now, we all know over the years, Joe Flacco, he's been a deep ball guy.
Oh, yeah.
You look over the years, he always sticks to the deep ball. And I think that, Lamar Jackson, he reminds me a lot of Michael Vick. And he can buy time with his feet. He really can. If he had an offensive line to protect him, I think he can extend plays and really bring his.
I'm going to ask. Hold on 1 second, Mr. Awesome. We're going to put you on hold. They're going to get your line up a little. Call back, please. 410-319-8888. Isaiah, I keep hearing people talk about Michael Vick, and they saw Michael Vick in Lamar Jackson. Use your eye. Did you see those same traits yesterday on the field?
I did. It seemed like almost every run that he had that I saw glimpses of Vic in him. And something that Lamont talked about earlier in the show is that what makes the difference is that now where Lamar is in his career, he's a better thrower than Vic was.
Yeah.
And it took a while for Vic to become a great thrower. He didn't become a good thrower really until when he got to the Eagles, after the dogfighting in Atlanta and everything like that. So Lamar right now,
what are you talking? Anyway, go ahead.
Lamar right now he's in a really good position, but he does really remind me of Vic when he runs the ball, but just with a better thrower.
410-319-8888. Lamar Jackson probably will start this week. Should we take him all the way, or should we bring Joe Flacco back? I want to know what you think. 410-319-8888. Leo Burrows, Bolton Hill. Always great to talk to you, brother Leo.
Anthony McCarthy, I'm on a cell phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're live.
Okay, well, good evening to everyone, or good afternoon. Let me say I've got a different perspective here, I guess. Lamar Jackson, of course, is magnificent. I love to see this young man play. He's outstanding. I don't know why he would carry the ball 22 times and risk the kind of injuries that are sure to result, not only with him, but with the other black quarterback who's there, who was originally with the Redskins. His name escapes me right now. Sometimes they look upon our people as cannon fodder. And so, yeah, I want him to succeed. I think he needs to be coached more about how to not only be defended and protected, but how he can preserve his longevity and avoid the concussion protocol. But I will say I'd like to see him there. But I keep scratching my head when I think about Joe Flacco, who had a back injury last year that didn't result from playing on the field.
That's right.
And then he got a hip injury, allegedly. Now he's got all kinds of injuries with $110 million. So I have a great deal of ambivalence when I look at this situation as to how we ought to hold him accountable. And of course, when Justin Tucker missed that field goal, they said he didn't lose the game because he's invincible. It's just that the other players, they didn't do enough to win. And then when Crabtree made a mistake, they said Crabtree was the worst guy in the world. He came back the next game and did everything right. So I see a lot of prejudice in terms, not just in the Ravens, but this whole National Football League in terms of how they do things.
Leo Burrows, that's the final word before we go to this break. I'm going to ask Isaiah George to stay with me. We're going to carry this. We have a bunch of callers who want to weigh in on Lamar Jackson. You're listening to Today with Dr. K. I'm Anthony McCarthy, sitting in this week as we talk some Ravens football. And I'm telling you, rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson, he has the tongues wagging all over the country. We'll be back in just a moment.
Good afternoon. A fire in the downtown area affecting service on the light rail link. The fire is out, but still running at about a 15 to 20 minute delay in either direction. There are no delays anywhere on the Metro subway link. On the Penn line, be aware of some delays on the southbound side. Trains 537 and 439, both running 10 to 15 minutes late. Local link bus diversion because of bridge work affects 54 northbound diverted at Harford Road and 32nd as they fix the bridge over Herring Run Park. 54 southbound diverted at Harford and Argonne. 34 southbound diverted at Forest Park and Hillsdale for construction. 34 northbound diverted at Forest Park and Windsor Mill. For the MTA Transit Team, I'm Ken Berger on 88.9 FM WEAA, the voice of the community.
Public radio is a partnership, and we at WEAA 88.9 are in partnership with you. Each day, we do the best possible job we can to bring you radio that's enjoyable. In exchange, we ask that you show your support and make a financial contribution to WEAA. Listeners like you provide the most important source of income. So it's simple. Take a moment right now to join the Public Radio Partnership. Call 443-885-2075, or you can give online at weaa.org. Thank you.
Peace. This is Faraji Muhammad. Tune into the cultural, academic, controversial, and always thought-provoking conversations happening Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on For the Culture. We got those conversations that will get you talking, thinking, and laughing wherever you are. So ride with me weeknights from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with For the Culture here on your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org, the voice of the community.
Though we are told to mourn it, we must know that it was a noble sound.
Hello, I'm Doc Manning. Join me every Monday night, 10 p.m. until 12 a.m. In the tradition, jazz music is not dead. We're in a detour and about to come out through interviews, through conversations, through promotion of live music. Your source for cool jazz and more. WEAA 88.9 FM, the voice of the community.
Celebrating 40 years of broadcasting, Morgan State University Public Radio, 88.9 WEAA FM and HD1, Baltimore.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Windsor Johnston. The CIA says Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Salman approved the killing of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. That's according to an individual briefed on the matter. The CIA is not commenting on its finding, which was first reported in the Washington Post on Friday. The State Department issued a statement Saturday saying that reports indicating the U.S. government has made a final conclusion are inaccurate. 16 Democrats have signed a letter committing to voting against Nancy Pelosi on the House floor in January's Speaker election. NPR's Scott Detrow has more.
For more than a week, Democrats organizing against Nancy Pelosi's Speaker campaign have been promising to release a letter listing all their supporters. Now that the letter is out, it's not quite clear they have the votes they would need to block Pelosi's bid, especially given the fact there's still no Democrat running against Pelosi for the House Speaker job. The letter includes 12 lawmakers and 4 incoming freshmen, though 2 of the freshmen are running in races that are still too close to call. Democrats hold their initial caucus vote next week, and Pelosi is heavily favored to earn a majority of the votes there. The question is what the anti-Pelosi Democrats do in January and whether Pelosi can convert no's into yeses between now and then. Scott Detrow, NPR News, Washington.
As firefighters struggle to contain the deadly wildfires burning in California, a forecast of rain is both good news and bad. Hetty Lynn Hurties of member station KPCC has more on the looming threat of mud and rock slides.
The National Weather Service says rain, predicted for Wednesday, is likely to cause wet ash to flow down steep inclines in Butte County, hard hit by the Camp Fire that has already burned more than 150,000 acres. Officials say the rain could complicate efforts of crews searching for additional bodies. Meanwhile, in Southern California, rain is also in the forecast. That could mean risks to those hardest hit by the Woolsey Fire in areas of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. That fire has destroyed at least 1,500 homes. For NPR News, I'm Hetty Lynn Hurties in Los Angeles.
3 Democratic senators have filed a lawsuit challenging the appointment of Matthew Whitaker as acting attorney general. NPR's Mara Liasson reports the suit claims President Trump's designation of Whitaker violates the Appointments Clause of the Constitution.
Right now, he is the acting attorney general. There are several suits that have been filed against his appointment, saying it was unconstitutional. He hasn't gone before the Senate. But for right now, he is in that job. He is overseeing the Mueller investigation, which means potentially he could tell Mueller, no, you can't indict someone. No, you can't subpoena the president.
NPR's Mara Liasson reporting. You're listening to NPR News in Washington.
Support for WEAA Traffic and MTA Report is provided by The Home Depot. More information available at homedepot.org.
695 on the outer loop, still slow going from Route 7, getting past White Marsh Boulevard with the right lane and right transition lane blocked as crews still continue to pick up a spilled load of corn on the roadway. Getting sluggish now on the outer loop between the Harrisburg Expressway and JFX and from Liberty Road through Edmondson Avenue. Northbound on 95, slowing from 195, getting on to the inner loop in Hale-Thorpe at Wilkins Avenue. New accident reported there, still clearing to the shoulder. Then you'll find heavy traffic from Frederick Road through Security Boulevard and sluggish from Park Heights Avenue as you make your way around towards Loch Raven Boulevard. Erdman Avenue near East Federal Street. Watch for the accident activity. Northbound on the JFX, quiet right now with just a brief delay from Ruxton Road getting on to 695. Northbound on 795, a little brief delay through Owings Mills Boulevard. For more traffic information, make sure to log on to sigalert.com. I'm Paula Young with your Baltimore area traffic.
88.9 FM reminds you that the views expressed on WEAA programs are those of participants and not necessarily those of Morgan State University, the staff, management, or underwriters of Baltimore's home for cool jazz. WEAA 88.9 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to Today with Dr. K. I'm Anthony McCarthy, sitting in for Dr. K. Welcome to Public Radio, WEAA 88.9 FM, the voice of the community. We're talking about yesterday's Baltimore Ravens win over the Bengals and rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson's performance. 27 rushes, 117 yards, 13 for 19, 150 yards, 1 interception, just one little interception. Should we take him all the way to the playoffs if we go to the playoffs? Should we take him? Should we switch back to Joe Flacco? What do you think We want to know what you think. 410-319-8888. Joining me now, Isaiah George. He's a Roden Fellow at ESPN, the undefeated. He is brilliant, young man. I really have enjoyed having you on the program. Give me your thoughts on, we talked a little bit about Joe Flacco. What's the cautionary tale for Lamar Jackson?
I think it's basically he's coming in as a guy who faced so much, especially during the draft process, right? A guy that wasn't respected as a quarterback.
That's right.
He decided not to run the 40 because so many teams were trying to change his position to wide receiver, and he kind of forced the NFL to look at him as a quarterback.
Yeah.
And I respect him for that a lot, because I understand, he had his pro day and everything like that, but he didn't run his 40 until then. And he wanted to show his skills as a quarterback. And I think this past week he did that as well, while still using his legs. So I think the cautionary tale for him is a guy that has forced the NFL to look at mobile and black mobile quarterbacks as quarterbacks.
410-319-8888. I was laughing because, we've been talking about black quarterbacks for a while now.
Yeah.
They really are, excuse me, coming into their own. And boy, who would have thought that the Baltimore Ravens had this Lamar Jackson right here in the wings, and boy, he's about to fly. He is about to fly. And of course, we have RG3 sitting in the background, Mr. Wisdom, offering his mentorship and his wise words.
And something about that, I know Robert, like I said, he may not be that guy who wants to mentor another quarterback, but something I think that is the reason why that's not the case is because last year he sat out for the first time. He was not on the NFL team last year, the whole season. And I think that has kind of changed his mindset a little, especially seeing Lamar and what he's had to go through, and what Robert has gone through in the past. And like I said, it comes full circle with RG3 gaining that knee injury against the Ravens his rookie year. So whether he wants to or not, I did see on Twitter he did congratulate Lamar Jackson about the win. But I do believe that Robert Griffin is going to help him going forward.
And I know you got to go. You are a student. Got to get to class.
Still got to get to
class. I do want
class.
to ask you, though, Isaiah, when you watch that post-press conference and you watch Lamar Jackson and his interaction and his comfort level with the sports reporters and the journalists, he really has a certain level of skill that you cannot teach.
Yeah.
It is natural.
It is. And he is a bona fide athlete at the quarterback position. And that's something that I think some people are just uncomfortable with seeing, because most of the quarterbacks that you see in the NFL, especially in the past, they are guys that throw from the pocket. Yeah. They don't move around too well. They don't take hits very well. But this guy, Lamar Jackson, and I think he's going to gain more respect from his teammates because of this. He's a guy that's in the trenches with them. He's gonna run out the pocket. He's gonna gain yards. He's not just the guy that's gonna sit in the pocket and throw. He is an athlete just like everybody else on the field.
We have to see. There's going to be a day when it's not the best game in the world. There's going to be challenges, and we'll see if he is the leader we think he is.
And I think you're going to see something out of him. He's going to surprise a lot of people. I'll say that, because in Louisville, he took losses. It's not like it was easy breezy. It's not like he went undefeated his whole time at Louisville. He stayed all 4 years also. And I think a lot of people kind of wanted him to come out after that Heisman win, but he stayed his fourth year. And so he's taken losses. He's shown leadership. He's made sacrifices. So he's going to surprise a lot of people. Whenever that first loss comes for him, that he's going to react in a good way, in a way that people are still going to want to be behind him.
Isaiah George, I appreciate you. Roden Fellow at ESPN's The Undefeated, and one of our great sports voices right here on WEAA. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for being with me. Folks, 410-319-8888. We're turning to you and your wisdom, your sports commentators and analysts, what you think should happen. What do you think about Lamar Jackson and his incredible game yesterday? 410-319-8880. Calling from Harford County, Rudolph is on the line. Rudolph, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you so much, man. I couldn't wait to talk to you guys. Listen, I watched the game. Lamar have a seat, and we appreciate all he's done. But Lamar, only thing he has to do is make sure he does the check down and use his tight ends.
Yes.
As far as the coach, Lamar saved his job.
Wow.
You have to look at it because he was on his way out.
He was.
Saved his job.
Last week, he looked like the saddest coach in the NFL.
He did. He knew what was going on. He knew he had to make the change, and it was time to make a change. We have to understand, just like, we all did sports. Every now and then, you know what? We get a little slower. We don't do as we used to do. It's time to, move the chain, move the rein over to the next one up. And Lamar's the next one up. Now, what the coaches have to do now is coach him so he don't get hurt.
Now, Rudolph, are we putting too much on his young shoulders? Does he still have much to learn? Are we making too much out of this one performance?
We are making too much. This is where the quarterback coaches have to come in and coach him. They have to coach him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They really have to coach him. That's why I said he has to use his tight end. Use the check down so he don't run as much. Don't stop him from running, but know when to run, know when to get down so he can have longevity, in his career. And if he does that, I think we're going to be all right.
We're going to be all right. Rudolph, I appreciate you. Thanks for your call. Let's go to Action, calling from Northeast Baltimore. Action, welcome to the program.
Good day, Anthony.
Hey, man.
Couple of things. You need to stop playing and coming back to radio. That's first and foremost.
I appreciate that.
The other thing that I'm afraid of is that they're not going to give him the opportunity or that they're giving everybody else. Give him some time, give him to kind of marinate, craft on his skills.
Yeah.
I think if they do that, he will be the next Flacco, if you will. And I say that because, like one caller said, you give Flacco his props. He did his thing. He brought Baltimore where we are today. But it's time to give up the throne.
Wow.
It's simple as that. It's time to give up the throne. And one last thing, you made a comment. You said black quarterbacks are coming into their own. We always
We've been here. You're right.
They just starting to give us the opportunity. We always been there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that, one, we're getting the opportunity, and hopefully the fans and the NFL, give that brother time, to take it to the next level. Give him time because he's going to need that.
He's going to need it. Action, I appreciate you. You know what's interesting? Action is right. We've got to coach him. Those coaches have a gem in their hands, but they've got to mold him, and they've got to use his natural talents. But they have a star. I'm telling you, I know I'm making a lot out of that press conference, but I have watched rookie players struggle at press conferences, stammering and can barely get the words out. This young man showed off yesterday. He was amazing. And he's bright. And I know people get mad when you say that black boys are that we are articulate, but I have to tell you, this young man was excellent yesterday on the field and off the field. 410-319-8888. That's the number to join our conversation. Should Lamar Jackson be our quarterback all the way through, or should we go back to Joe Flacco? I want to know what you think. 410-319-8888. Let's go to Douglas, calling from Baltimore, East Baltimore. Douglas, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Appreciate you calling.
My remarks is that you got to look at a new form of football, that the skills that he brings to the game. And we got to let him be who he is. And that's how he did yesterday. He was himself on the field and off the field. Now, the future, we got to look how the Ravens had yesterday. They made the Ravens change their all offense.
They sure did.
So that they can play for the future. Now, whether they bring Joe back or whatever, but he played his game his way. as the coach told him, be yourself.
Be the quarterback.
He
That's
was
right.
Self off the field and on the field. And we can't take nothing away from Joe. Joe brought us around a couple of times, but this is a new era of football that is coming in. And then another thing the Ravens did yesterday, they ran the ball.
Yeah.
And everybody was looking for them to pass. Even when the coach of the Bengals, he said, let me run the defense. we brought them away. We brought them away. So that's my comment.
Douglas, you are on point. He was the leader on the field yesterday. Young Lamar Jackson was extraordinary at changing how we played the game yesterday. The Baltimore Ravens squeaked out a win, but it was a strong win, 24-21. And this young man used his legs yesterday and ran that ball. He's got to be careful. He's got to be careful. Got to be careful.
Right.
Douglas, I appreciate you. Thanks for your call. 410-319-8888. I have another clip. Y'all know I love these clips. We have a clip from Eric Weddle talking about the game yesterday. He's free safety for the Baltimore Ravens.
On the brink coming into this after 3 straight losses. How big is this?
Should have keeps us alive, honestly. Complete team win. Pretty excited, and I mean, I'm tired, but just to see what our offense did and the way Lamar fought, the composure he showed, the big plays he made, Gus Edwards, I mean, we've been seeing it in practice, and he gets his opportunity. Our offensive line played outstanding and controlled the game, controlled the clock, and he did some historic things tonight. So keeps us alive, man. That's a tough nemesis team that we've had trouble with over a long time. So to get a win, to get a stop late in the game was huge for us.
Eric was tired. He was tired, but I think he captured the feeling. And you know what's interesting is that Eric and the other players say they were not surprised. See, they've been watching Lamar in practice on the field. They know what they have. They know what they have. 410-319-8888. I'm getting a few text messages from friends who are saying we cannot let Joe go. I want to know what you think. Can we go to the playoffs with Joe Flacco? 410-319-8888. Gloria is calling. Gwen Oak, I appreciate you reaching in. Tell us what you think about Lamar Jackson.
Yes, yeah, he is definitely awesome, and it needed a change because I hear so much about Flacco. but this what needs to happen. And like everybody else, the call already said, the young man need to cut down on those runnings, 24, 27, because he's going to get hurt
he's gonna be
eventually. But my thing is, since Flacco, since he's been playing, he always stayed in the pocket. He never got out the pocket. So if Flacco take him under his wings and teach him how to stay in the pocket and how to work from the pocket, so eventually the young man will be able to do both. He'll be able to work inside the pocket, and when he had to run out, sometimes he can do that. You know, so hopefully Flacco don't throw him under the bus yet. So
don't throw him under the bus yet. That's right.
No, please, yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. But we definitely need to see a change, and RG3 and Flacco, they can give us some pointers. Because if you notice during the game, I really didn't want to watch the game, but I watched it. They was calling the shots from the sideline. So until he learned how to do it himself, then he'll be on his way. But they call the plays for him to, when he go back out there, what to do. So that was a good thing. But it's a learning, it's a teaching moment for him.
It's a teaching moment.
And he's going to be all right.
He'll be all right. He's going to be all right. Appreciate your call. Thanks for your.
All right.
Appreciate you. 410-319-8888. Let's go up. We're going to bring Sean Price into this conversation. Sean Price, of course. We appreciate you joining us. Sean, give me your thoughts. There have been some talk, and we're not going to be able to spin. I have a whole bunch of phones holding on to talk about Lamar Jackson. But give me your thoughts on what we should think about what headlines all over the country about this parochial school, St. Francis. and some of the teams refusing to play this football team?
I actually did have the privilege of watching St. Francis play this year early on, and I'll say this: I've played on one of the best teams in the state of Maryland.
You sure
high
have.
School myself, and I just want to say this year's St. Francis team is a lot better than the team that I played on. So, no, that's saying a lot. These kids are just balling. And it kind of breaks my heart that they're going through the kind of season that they're having as far as, nobody really wanting to play them, because I think what's being lost is the fact that a lot of these guys are also, vying for college scholarships.
That's right. Yeah.
And when you have teams in your schedule who refuse to play you, that's less film. That's less opportunities that you have, to get better at your craft. As you go on through the season, you get better, and that experience that you gain, in your final years of high school is what, ultimately propels you to being ready to play at that college level. So the fact that they don't have as many, challenging games and as many just, regular games on a scheduled period to actually play in it's a travesty, because you got the seniors who, this was their last year, then you got the juniors who are also looking to, have great film for their recruitment. And, your junior and senior year are the most vital years of high school. So it's absolutely absurd what has happened to this team.
Now, you are a former standout, superstar running back at Gilman High School, and you played for Coach Pogge. Let me ask you about this. Now, is there any validity to the criticism of St. Francis's team? The guys are too big. They're playing too hard. The other teams don't want their players hurt. They say, or I guess I'm trying to avoid the bottom line. Some people say this is pure racism at its worst in high school sports.
I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. I myself, took a trip past St. Francis to see if I could, stumble upon the secret lab where they're making these super freak athletes. But unfortunately, I didn't see it. But what I did see is, a bunch of guys who work their tails off, or a coaching staff that is as invested as any major college program. And, that's the product. When you work hard, you train hard, and you approach this game with the level of commitment that, St. Francis staff and players approach it with, then of course you're going to have these kind of results, man. It's laughable for anybody to look at these kids and say that they're anything other than, just a product of their hard work. So I don't even waste my time, giving critics the time of day, dignifying those kind of ridiculous marks.
But Sean, it's interesting to me. I watched some film of a team that came from all the way from Ohio, and they refused to get off the bus. Their coaches refused to get off the bus. They said they were afraid to allow their players to play against St. Francis. They said it was purely physical. They were worried about the health and safety of their players.
I would be interested to know when that decision was made.
Yeah, when did they decide on that bus they were not going to get off that bus?
Yeah, because I mean, if you never get off the bus, you don't have a chance to observe the team and to see what they even have during the pregame. So I'm not at this point. It's becoming just a ridiculous conspiracy, because just to travel from Ohio to Baltimore for a high school game and to decide that you no longer want to play like that. I vividly remember how I felt as a high school football player, and it's never been that kind of fear within me that would deter me from wanting to go out there and showcase my ability. So I'm just not buying that from a bunch of 15 to 18-year-old young men.
Sean, we're going to talk about this issue again, and I really would appreciate if you could join me as we talk about St. Francis. People are really talking about this team all over the country. Most people are saying that this St. Francis football team is the best that has been fielded in Maryland ever.
That's without a doubt. I've seen a lot of awesome Gilman teams and a lot of unbelievable domestic teams, and this is by far, the cream of the crop.
Sean Price, I appreciate you. Former standout running back at Gilman High School. He is an incredible commentator, analyst. I want to pick your brain on not just this issue, but other issues when it comes to high school sports. And certainly, what did you think of our Lamar Jackson yesterday playing down at M&T Stadium?
I absolutely loved it. Again, just like the conversation with St. Francis, and everybody saying these kids are too big and these kids are too this or too that. People are saying, Lamar Jackson, as much as he runs, he's not going to be able to do it. He's going to get injured. Well, let me just remind you of something. Lamar Jackson has been Lamar Jackson for
a
all of his
long
life.
time. That's right.
And that skill set, that speed, his elusiveness, and his athleticism is what got him to this level. So to try and limit him down would be taken away from his game. I think
Sean, I've got to go. We're running up against the clock. I appreciate you, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Sean Price, appreciate you. Folks, you're listening to Today with Dr. K. I'm Anthony McCarthy. We're talking Ravens football. Nathaniel, Fred, Sandy, Curtis, all of you coming up next when we return to Today with Dr. K.
Did you miss your favorite WEAA public affairs show this week? Not to worry. You can listen to the podcast online at weaa.org by clicking the Public Affairs tab. You can also subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Simply search the show name and press subscribe. Your podcast will automatically update on your iTunes library. We are keeping you informed on your source for cool jazz and more. WEAA 88.9 FM.
Have you ever wanted to learn about the musical legends that you love and the methods they use to create the songs you simply can't get out of your head? Join Robert Shahid as he dives in and analyzes musical geniuses and the methods they use to produce their music. Monday through Friday at noon, only at WEAA 88.9 FM, the voice of the community. WEAA on Assignment, a look at the arts, culture, and enterprise in and around our city. Reported and produced by students of the School of Global Journalism and Communication at Morgan State University. Support for WEAA on Assignment comes from PNC.
Members of Morgan State University's marching machine are excited to be honored with the opportunity to march in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Thanksgiving Day 2019. Marching band director Melvin Miles announced the news during homecoming, and it has since shined a light on the band.
I'm excited in how the university is responding to it. The university is embracing it. They're very excited about it. Everybody's responding to it very favorably. Everywhere we go, or when students go, they're giving that nod of approval that it's a big deal, it's a big thing. And so we're kind of excited about it, kind of stoked.
Arthur Crowner, a freshman to Morgan State University and a trumpeter of the Bear Band, has dreamed about this day since he was a kid.
I got so excited because I honestly used to talk about that with my parents. One day I'm going to be up there, but this is soon. It's like really close now.
Although she won't be participating, senior and trumpeter Kayla Johnson isn't bitter. Instead, she's just as happy and proud for her bandmates.
Oh man, it was amazing. It was crazy. Like, to know that people start to recognize all the hard work and dedication that we've been putting into this band program for the last 5 years. I've definitely seen the band grow since I've been here. I was really excited, and actually I was sad that I couldn't march next year because I'll be gone.
With an entire year ahead and the anticipation of millions of eyes on them, Miles and his marching machine have begun practices with a 2019 goal in mind.
We will be reminding people, these are the things we got to achieve for them. We've got a date where we're going to be revealed to a whole bunch of people that don't get to see us. And so we need to make sure that we start out the semester, start out the year, working real hard to be really sharp in every kind of way.
I'm Misha McDonald with WEAA on assignment.
This has been an installment of WEAA on Assignment with support from PNC.
News headlines, events, podcasts, and more. WEAA.org.
410-319-8888 is the number to join our conversation here on Today with Dr. K. I'm Anthony McCarthy. Have the honor of sitting in this week for Dr. K while she's on Thanksgiving vacation. She is out there having a good time getting ready for vacation with her family this great holiday. 410-319-8888. Yesterday, the Ravens squeaked out a win, 24-21, over the Bengals. But the real story was Lamar Jackson, the rookie quarterback, who just wowed them. Dre, our board operator and our sports analyst right here at WEAA, was telling me if you listen to those reporters, when he smiled, they smiled. They were eating out of Lamar Jackson's hands yesterday. And it just speaks to the fact that we really, there's some energy, there's some excitement. Do we need to take Lamar Jackson all the way, or do we need to, after this week, go back to Joe Flacco, our superstar quarterback? 410-319-8888. That's the number if you have something you'd like to add to our conversation. Fred's calling from Baltimore. Fred, I appreciate you holding on. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, how you doing? I just want to say a couple of things.
All right.
One, in reference to Lamar Jackson, it's opportunity. As long as they give him the opportunity and give him all the backing, the kid will be successful. And that's the problem with most of the kids in the NFL playing the quarterback position. They need to give him the opportunity in the full run. Is he going to be the savior, or is he going to be the face of the franchise?
Yeah.
That's the question that really needs to be answered. Because, yeah, we'll wow him today. If he have a bad game next week or maybe throw an interception, are you going to ride or die?
That's right.
Well, they put a right coach with him that'll make sure that he understands when to deliver the ball before the receivers come out of their break. Because, sure, he can play pocket quarterback in the NFL. He just needs a Pete Carroll-type coach behind him. So, Harbaugh, take a lesson from Pete Carroll and let that boy play like Russell Wilson play. He'll be successful. In reference to St. Francis.
Yeah.
St. Francis is doing what St. Francis do. OG is a hell of a coach.
He sure is.
Excuse my language, he just is. The bottom line is he has a wraparound program that's interested not only in the kids' athleticism, but in their education. And when the inner city people get that in their head and these coaches stop trying to make it all about them, you know what I mean? These kids not only be able to play, but be able to play to the next level. These colleges are making millions of dollars off of these kids. And a lot of these kids don't get an opportunity to do it because a lot of these coaches are lost. And St. Francis got the right crew, and they doing it down there. So these and the conspiracy is true. A lot of these Catholic schools, when they were winning and beating up on people, was no big deal. Now these kids got a real coach down there that's showing what they can do, and nobody wants to play against them.
Isn't that something? And Fred, the thing that you touched on that I think is lost to so many people, this is an amazing national story. This coach supplements these students with tutors. He makes sure that they don't have to travel far. He supports their families. Many of them are
wraparound program.
He is
It's called
literally
a wraparound program. Look, man, I could coach in the high schools. I would. I mean, I done coached several kids in the NFL right now that play right here in Baltimore. The Fullers, C.J. Jones, Cyrus Jones. I mean, all the Fuller boys. I mean, Kiara Smalls. There's so many of these kids that came through the Northwood program that played right here in Baltimore. that made it to the league. Some of them played for Postal Service, played at Gilman. I mean, there's plenty of talent here, but it's not a wraparound program that makes sure these kids not only be athletic, but they're educationally sound.
Fred, I appreciate you. Thanks for your thoughts and your analysis of the game. Appreciate everything you shared with us. 410-319-8888. And I have to tell you, one thing I saw that Coach Pogge did with his kids was he prayed with them. They prayed together. And I'm telling you, he is doing something amazing over there at St. Francis. Nathaniel's no. Let's go to Curtis. Curtis is calling from Millersville. Curtis, sorry about that. Appreciate your holding on and your patience. Welcome to the program.
All right, thank you very much. Because I didn't think I was going to ever get through. But nevertheless, I wanted to make a comment on both your subjects you was talking about. The first one on the high school football team. I'm not familiar with it, but is it a predominantly black?
It's an almost all black football team.
Oh, okay, so are these schools that they supposed to play or supposed to play them? Are they predominantly white schools? And
some of them are, but
private?
some of them are black teams as well.
Are you serious? Are you telling me that you like? Because I'm curious. I wanted to ask you: are they in a different league than like Dunbar, Northern?
They are.
Douglas, and all. So they are.
Mhm.
So, because I'm not familiar with the whole high school setup thing when it comes to football.
I understand.
But nevertheless, like I was saying, I think from what I hear about the school and all, I think they're doing an outstanding job with the students that they have there, their football team, and everything else. I hear it's a fairly all around good school to attend for our people, youth anyway.
They are in the MIAA league. They are one of, if not the best, fielded football team, parochial school football team in Maryland. They are extraordinary. They are doing extraordinary. And for whatever the reason, and there's conspiracy theories are at play, other teams do not want to play this team.
Well, you know what that's all about. But anyway, let me. I'm serious. Everybody knows what that is all about.
Yeah.
Now let me get to Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Baltimore Ravens. Listen, I didn't become a Ravens fan until Brian Billick was fired or quit, resigned, whatever happened to him, right? Now everybody's giving Flacco, I like to call him Wacko. Everybody's giving him credits for the Super Bowl that they won the last year that Ray Lewis played with Baltimore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I totally disagree with that because I believe the defense had everything to do with them winning the Super Bowl that year and not the offense.
Wow.
First of all. Secondly of all, I believe that everybody is overblowing this Lamar Jackson guy. Hey, I'm gonna be with him. I'm gonna stand with him because he's young and I think he's energetic and everything. Well, I'm not gonna go heads over heel for one game. I'm just not gonna do it.
Oh yeah.
You gotta show me something. You gotta show me a season. I gotta see a season. And like everybody else is saying, all of that running and stuff that he was doing in college is not gonna happen in the NFL because I'm telling you, just like he's fast, they got some fast linebackers and some fast safeties and corners. Plain and simple. And that's all I got to say.
Curtis, appreciate you so much. Thanks for your thoughts. 410-319-8888. I don't want to overplay this, but what do you think is the story we're going to be writing about Joe Flacco? 410-319-8888. He has been a leader of the team. He has been the quarterback that has, people say you have to ride and die with the Baltimore Ravens. And Joe Flacco has been there in the cut. 410-319-8888. I want to know what you think is going to be the story as we move forward with Lamar Jackson. What's going to be the story we write about Joe Flacco? 410-319-8888. Nathaniel's calling from Pikesville. Nathaniel, appreciate you holding on. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Anthony, thanks for having me.
Hey, man.
Flacco, that's the man. He's going to go down in history with some of the greats like Marcus Allen, Ken Norton. I mean, this guy's going to have a video game named after him eventually. But, I don't think that's the problem, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem is this, Flacco, and I know Joe, okay? Flacco is out there on that field. He's the only Republican out there on that field, surrounded in a sea of blue. They're out to hurt this man. He doesn't have any support, and they're trying to get him. They're trying to hurt him, and he's scared. He's shaking in his boots. What is he going to do? The president made it hard for him, but he got to stick to his convictions, and he has to play ball. He has to step up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of this.
Now, do you think that we need to? Well, he's not going to play this weekend, that's for sure. I think that we're going to have Lamar play against the Raiders this weekend. Do you think we need to switch up?
You got to put Joe Flacco back in.
Yeah.
Lamar, he had his time to shine, but I think it's a little too overwhelming for him.
Wow.
I really do. I think it's too overwhelming for him. He's not ready yet. He needs a little bit more mentorship. He needs a little bit more discipline, and then he'll be ready.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be ready to hit that green.
Nathaniel, I appreciate you. Thanks for your thoughts. 410-319-8888. Sandy's calling from Pikesville as well. Sandy, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you? Thanks very much for taking my
Thanks
call.
for calling.
Yeah, this is my first time calling with you.
Really?
So,
Welcome.
yes, thank you. So I want to comment on St. Francis as well because I personally do believe it's racist. It hurt me to my heart that these young men who are vibrant and looking forward to an education and something to do for the future, that these guys come all the way from Ohio and only a few of them got off the bus.
Isn't that
What does that
crazy?
say about the coach? Where is the coach and why didn't the coach encourage them? Look, that's failure right there. Who does that? Isn't the coach on the bus with them?
Yes. Coach
Why would
is
the
on the
coach allow
bus.
them to stay on the bus?
Mm.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that I don't understand why a coach will allow the team to dictate to him what they're going to do.
I just didn't get it. I didn't get how they came all the way from Ohio to play St. Francis, came from the airport on the bus, and refused to get off the bus.
Right, but they did show yesterday that maybe 5 or 6 players did get off the bus. That's
Mhm.
about it.
Wow.
But okay, now let's go back to Lamar. Because that's what I really called to say.
Lamar
Because
Jackson.
I watched the whole game. Now, I get emotional and excited. And so with my husband, I said, look, I can't do this. So I don't watch all of it. But yesterday, I'm telling you, I watched the entire game from beginning to end. It caught my attention because I felt good about what I was watching and that young man. And I hear your caller saying he didn't let him be him. That's what he was told to do. He's young. He has the energy. Let him play the way he plays this game. Flacco needs to sit down because this is Lamar's season. There's a season and a time for everything. And this is his season, and let him play the game. I'm sorry. Flacco did well, but it's time for him to sit down. It is time for him to sit down. And I hope that the coaches are listening. I hope everybody's listening. He needs to sit down. I hear what the other guy's saying, but this young man, he has something, and he's going somewhere. Yeah, and somebody said, let Flacco teach him to stay in the pocket. He knows about the pocket. He sat on that bench watching
He sure
Flacco
did.
stay in the pocket. So he knows to stay in the pocket. He's going to play the game the way he wants to play the game. And that means sometimes he got to come out the pocket.
Mm.
Flacco's scared to come out the pocket. I don't know if this is Flacco's what, but it seems like every time somehow he gets stuck somewhere. And it upsets me. I'm like, what are you doing? So I enjoyed the game. I wasn't stressed. It felt good. And I know it's a game, and I know we have winners and losers. But yesterday, I watched the entire game.
Sandy, I appreciate you. And you are a real Ravens fan. 410-319-8888 is the number to join us. We've been talking about Lamar Jackson and his rookie game yesterday. What a leader on the field. What's he going to do as we move forward? Angela's calling from right here in Maryland. Angela, I appreciate you calling. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well, doing well.
That's good. I just wanted to share a couple things. What's up, Dre? First of all, for the uneducated caller who called 2 calls back talking about he didn't become a Ravens fan until the John Harbaugh era, let me just educate you. It was Ray Lewis who was responsible for the Ravens for winning that Super Bowl. Let's get that straight. If he knows anything about football and the Ravens, he would know that the defense that year was terrible. Number one. Number two, Joe Flacco. Somebody said something about, well, he's got to teach Lamar, develop. Joe Flacco's done. He's been in the league, like she said. She was on point. He's been in the league for 11 years. You are done. You're an average quarterback. You got paid. We thought you were going to do something. You're done. You are done. And, I mean, I think they need to leave Lamar out there, personally, because the Ravens ain't going nowhere. Let's all be honest. The Ravens are not going. They're not going to the playoffs. I'm a diehard Ravens
Come on,
fan.
Angela. We got to hold out hope.
Dre knows it. They are not going to the playoffs. And honestly, it's time. The Harbaugh era and the Marty Morning way, it's over. And trust me and believe, I would like to get somebody else who will develop Lamar. Because, yes, he did his thing yesterday, but he still got to develop that pocket pass in the present and knowing when to slide. Everybody's excited that he can run, but he has to slide.
He's got to slide.
He will be a backup like RG3, and that's all I got.
Angela, appreciate you. Folks, we got to try to get all these calls in. All the lines are full. People are excited about Lamar Jackson. Norm is calling from right here in Baltimore. Norm, it's always great to talk to you, my friend.
Hey, Anthony. How you doing?
Great to talk to you.
Good. You remember me from Quadrant?
I sure do.
Hey, good buddy. First off, St. Francis is an unbelievable program. Unbelievable. And if nobody wants to play him, that's their loss.
That's all right. That's right.
The coach is great. The program is great. The kids are learning. I've been coaching basketball in the city for better half of 30 years, and that program is the benchmark. The Mr. Lamar Jackson situation, I was so excited to see him play yesterday, Anthony. I didn't know what to do. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Wow.
And I don't hate Joe Flacco. I really don't. His time is his time. His time is over. That's all. I mean, he got hot, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions when they won the last Super Bowl, and he cashed in on it. And like anybody else would, I'm not mad with him. But it is time to move on. The NFL quarterbacks are changing. They are more athletic. They're faster. The Cam Newtons, the Russell Wilsons. The NFL is changing. That quarterback that stands still at Statue of Liberty is not working. Even Big Ben moves around.
He sure does.
At the end of the day, Anthony, Mr. Lamar Jackson the Ravens should say, here, take the keys, and Joe, you watch, because Joe's cap number next year is going to be like $19 million.
Wow.
If they don't re-sign him, Anthony, or cut his deal, he won't be back. You know what I'm saying? So right now, the last 2 games, the only games that we're going to have trouble in, of course, is Kansas City. I think we can win the rest of them.
Wow. I think a lot of people are holding on for that. Mark's calling from East Baltimore. Mark, welcome to the program.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for answering my call.
Appreciate you calling.
Blessings to the station. You guys got history over there. I'm telling you, man. Last time I was on a radio station, I was talking to Kwesi and Fume.
Wow. that was a while ago.
I'm telling you, man. But I had my ear turned on 88. Oh, man, that's my heart. That's my station.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, listen. What I wanted to say real quick was that St. Francis. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
St. Francis hits me in the heart, man.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is, because you have an inner city school that is predominantly black. It's a Catholic school.
It is.
Some say parochial. Okay, call it what you want to. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Students there excel academically first. And then their athletics, if they have the talent, kick in, and the doors open up for them. The world opens up for them. And that's the most positive thing you would ever want for your kid to have. No. Ever. Now, to switch the page and say Lamar Jackson, Lamar Jackson has turned the lights on brighter at M&T Bank Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Now, I done followed the Ravens since day one, man.
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl 2000 was pure defense.
Oh, yeah.
Super Bowl 2012 was defense and offense, meaning Flacco was there, right? But if Flacco didn't have Anquan Bolden, if he didn't have two other wide receivers and a running back and tight ends, we would have lost that game. So, you know, they touted up Joe Flacco and gave him this big contract and you know, it's history now. But I'm saying, to me, if I was the owner, no, he wouldn't have got that money.
Mark, we got to run. 410-319-8888. We have a full bank of callers. We're going to try to get you all in as possible. Make sure your thoughts are concise and you're ready to roll. Let's go to Andre, calling from East Baltimore. Andre, appreciate you listening. Welcome to the program.
Hey, Anthony, how you doing?
Hey, man. Welcome to the program, sir.
I'm good, man. I just listened to all the previous callers talking about St. Francis and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Just want to add my 2 cents real quickly. Starting with the St. Francis Academy and the job that the coach is doing with that program in terms of education and getting them guys that to play getting the talent to play the football at the level that they're playing football. But one more thing I think we need to look at with this is because he's produced such a winning tradition, those other schools, because of the and I believe that it's because of the it's racially motivated because he's beating on those other schools and they got black players, but they're white institutions that he's beating on. So they begin to say, well, we've had enough of this. We've got to, they've found a way to try to blackball him out of the MIAA, right?
Mm-hmm. Andre, unfortunately, we're running out of time, so I got to run. Let's go to William in Baltimore. William, I appreciate you holding. Welcome to the program.
Sure. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. We only have a couple of minutes left, unfortunately, William.
Okay. Hey, man, so as far as the Super Bowl goes, Jacoby Jones and Bolden won that Super Bowl. I don't care what nobody says. All right?
We're going to revisit this. Go ahead, brother.
Lamar Jackson, he's good, but he's going to need some training because they're going to snap his little behind in half out there.
I appreciate you, William. Let's go to the other William calling from Pikesville. William, I appreciate you holding on. Welcome to the program. All right, let's go to Wayne. Wayne's calling from West Baltimore. Program.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. I just wanted to, I can't add any more to the Lamar Jackson thing, man.
Of course.
I think everything's been said. But I'm really saddened about St. Francis Academy and what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I wanted to add that a local team up in Ricestown, the Ricestown Mustangs, they went through the same thing when they joined the Carroll County League this year. You familiar with that situation? Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that, man, and just say it's sad, but they were good. They had a good squad. But I'm gonna let you go, man. You gotta get over call.
We appreciate you. Thanks for your call, folks. Lamar Jackson will be playing most likely. We'll find out later this weekend. I'm telling you, his star is shining very bright right now. But the question is, what happens when we have a rough game? Let's listen to this clip. I want to do another clip about St. Francis. We're going to talk about this. This is making headlines around the country.
For the St. Francis Academy Panthers, it's the second to last game of an undefeated season.
First play of the game, I want to go up top.
Their head coach, Biff Poggi. In just 2 short seasons, he's built a powerhouse team, ranked among the top 10 best in the nation.
Hey, Panthers on 3, 1, 2, 3. Panthers.
The students enter this building with amazing crosses on their shoulder.
St. Francis Academy, a majority Black Catholic high school, in the heart of one of Baltimore's roughest neighborhoods. For the school and many of the kids who come here, survival is a day-to-day challenge.
Most of our students at 3 o'clock when the academic day ends don't want to go home. They don't have the stability at the home.
Go. That's why 10 years ago, Coach Poggi, also a wealthy hedge fund manager, offered to start a football program here, even while coaching at a rival private school. He had already been paying the tuition for many students here and others throughout the city.
I didn't think that the zip code you were born in or the genetic pool you were born in should determine whether you get a decent education or not. Spent some dough trying to do that.
I am telling you, folks, that is an incredible football team, an incredible coach, an incredible principal, but more importantly, they're incredible players. We're going to talk about that. They deserve our support. Folks, that's going to be it for today. Today with Dr. K is a production of WEAA. The show is produced by Justina Pollard, just one of the best in the game. Our board operator is Andre Melton. Make sure you stay tuned for The Culture with Faraji's coming up next. I'm Anthony McCarthy. I'm with you all week right here on Today with Dr. K. You have a blessed day. Let's stay tuned for a report from MTA.
And a good evening. On the Penn line, we have train 641 running about 15 to 20 minutes late heading to Washington. All trains heading north are on time. Local Link bus diversions for construction include the 34 southbound at Forest Park in Hillsdale, 34 northbound diverted at Forest Park in Windsor Mill, 79 westbound diverted at Wakefield and Fairview, 79 eastbound diverted at Dickey Hill and Forest Park. We've got no problems on MTA commuter buses. The light rail link is back to on-time status and no issues with the Metro subway link. For the MTA Transit team, I'm Ken Berger on 88.9 FM WEAA, the voice of the community.
Jazz is an essential part of the universal language of music, one that anyone can understand and connect to. Music like this deserves a secure home on the radio dial. Become a part of the team that helps make great jazz possible. Do your part now by making a donation to keep jazz on public radio 88.9 alive and well. Go to WEAA.org and click the Donate Now button. Thank you for listening.
I'm Sandy Mallory, inviting you to join me for the latest sound of the Neo Soul Cafe from 1 to 3 p.m. 2 hours of the best music to celebrate your day. The Soul Revival music features Jill Scott, John Legend, Alicia Keys, Jeff Bradshaw, and many more. Tune in and join me for the music on Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. It's the best sounds for your enjoyment daily. Hosted by me on WEAA. Don't miss it.
If you're looking for the very best in conversation, great music, and of course, the very best slow jams in the city, make sure you join me, LaDon Black, nightly, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monday through Friday, right here on your community station, the station that's your source for cool jazz and so much more, WEAA 88.9 FM.
Celebrating 40 years of broadcasting, Morgan State University Public Radio, 88.9 WEAA FM and HD1, Baltimore.
I do this for my culture. I do this for my culture.
Peace and welcome to For the Culture right here on your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org. Absolutely the voice of the community. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in tonight. Folks, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about this thing called poverty. Talking about why one school is looking to poverty-proof the school so that way their lower income students aren't stigmatized. So I'm wondering, should the dress code policy be based on your socio-economic status? We'll have that conversation in the first hour. In the second hour, we have a very special guest coming into the studio, Mr. Monty Sanders, celebrity fitness expert. He's a Ravens expert, Ravens trainer, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about health and wellness, especially as we get into the holiday season. And then later, we'll be talking a little bit about what happened in D.C. with Michelle Obama. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. Stay riding with me. It's all happening on tonight's edition of For the Culture right here on your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM. Now let's check in with NPR with your latest in news and traffic. We'll be right back, folks.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. Democratic senators have filed a lawsuit challenging the appointment of Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. As NPR's Ryan Lucas explains, the lawmakers argue Whitaker's appointment is unconstitutional.
The lawsuit was filed in district court in Washington, D.C. by 3 Democratic members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Richard Blumenthal, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Mazie Hirono. They say in their complaint that President Trump's designation of Whitaker as acting attorney general violates the Appointments Clause of the Constitution, which requires Senate confirmation for high-level government officials. The lawmakers are asking the court to declare Whitaker's appointment unconstitutional and to bar him from carrying out the duties of the attorney general. The lawsuit is the latest legal challenge made to Whitaker's appointment. The Justice Department says it is lawful and conforms with historical precedent. Ryan Lucas, NPR News, Washington.
With the search still continuing for victims of the deadly Camp Fire, which nearly leveled the town of Paradise, California, crews say they're concerned rain is in the forecast. They say, well, that could help containment efforts. They're worried it might also spark mudslides because of burned-out hillsides. They say that could complicate the effort to locate human remains, turning dusty debris into mud. Forecasters say at least 4 inches of rain could fall in the area midweek through the weekend. So far, the remains of 77 people have been found, though many more are still listed as missing. British Prime Minister Theresa May is standing behind her final draft for the United Kingdom to leave the European Union. NPR's Frank Langford reports May is facing sharp criticism from key cabinet members to change her Brexit withdrawal agreement.
After being pummeled in Parliament last week, May spoke in a friendlier venue today, the Confederation of British Industry. In her speech, she said her Brexit deal would eventually end free movement of EU citizens to the UK, which is a big reason people voted for Brexit in 2016. Confederation leaders support May's deal, in part to prevent the UK from crashing out of the EU, which would cause serious damage to the British economy. Critics in May's own Conservative Party have yet to trigger a no-confidence vote. The Prime Minister still plans to travel to Brussels for an EU summit on Sunday to ratify the deal. Frank Langford, NPR News, London.
The CIA is determined Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, according to an individual briefed on the matter. However, the agency has not commented on its findings, which were first reported in the Washington Post Friday. State Department issued a statement Saturday saying reports indicating the U.S. government has made a final conclusion are inaccurate. A senior Democratic U.S. senator said U.S. intelligence officials should issue a public report. Khashoggi was killed at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul last month. U.S. financial markets posted steep declines, with both the Dow and the NASDAQ falling sharply to start the new trading week. The Dow closed down 395 points. That was a 1.5% decline. The NASDAQ was down 219 points, a drop of 3%. You're listening to NPR News in Washington.
Accidents clearing Security Boulevard at Lord Baltimore Drive, as well as Empire Parkway at East Belvedere Avenue. White Marsh Boulevard, westbound at Prairie Hall Boulevard. Watch for the accident. Mulberry Street at Park Avenue, another accident, as well as an accident in the city on 41st Street on the west side at Hickory Avenue. North Point Road at Cove Road in Dundalk is an accident clearing as well. Southbound 95 at White Marsh Boulevard, that accident clearing up now on the shoulder. Then it's jammed on the ramp to the outer loop. Outer loop still heavy from 95 in Rossville around towards JFX, with the debris on the left and right shoulders at White Marsh Boulevards still clearing. Outer loop has more delays from Liberty Road as you're making your way down to Frederick Road. Inner loop is jammed from Washington Boulevard up to an accident at Frederick Road that's cleaning up over on the shoulder. Delays continue past that incident as you're making your way up to Liberty Road. Eastbound 70 is now jammed on the ramp to the Beltway, westbound slow through Route 29. This updated service of AAA. For more traffic info, go to sigalert.com. I'm Paula Young with your Baltimore area traffic.
Support for WEAA Traffic and MTA Report is provided by The Home Depot. More information available at homedepot.org.
88.9 FM reminds you that the views expressed on WEAA programs are those of participants and not necessarily those of Morgan State University, the staff, management, or underwriters of Baltimore's home for cool jazz. WEAA 88.9 FM.
I do this for my culture, 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 I do this for my culture, culture, culture. I do this for my culture, culture, culture.
Peace and welcome back to For the Culture right here on your source for cool jazz and more. WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org. Absolutely, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and riding with me this evening, folks. Tonight, we're going to have a great conversation because we came across this story that we thought was pretty doggone interesting, which is about poverty shaming. Now, remember last week we talked a little bit about generation shaming, right? Well, tonight I want to talk a little bit about poverty because apparently we are still in that time frame where you could be bullied for what you wear. And where you can be made to feel bad about the material things that you have on your back. Isn't that crazy? Who does this? Children. That's exactly. And adults who act like children. But children. And so there's a school in England. I know it's across the water somewhere. And I get it. And I definitely, and I know that that's kind of far off. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have because there's a whole larger movement around what we're seeing there in England. Yes, a large movement. And so there is this movement of making sure that schools in England are a little bit more sensitive about the socioeconomic status of their students. And it got me wondering, maybe this is something that we could possibly institute in the United States of America. I don't know. I mean, obviously, there are some real fundamental differences in terms of our, what we say that, what's the word I'm looking for? How we kind of move things economically, socially, how we see things. Certainly, the system of capitalism plays a huge part of it because at the root of capitalism is this idea of spending and, more importantly, the idea that who you are is really based upon what's in your bank account, right? You know, that level of status is attached. But in this case, it also plays a lot because on the next generation, when you have this mindset, this mentality that, I'm better than this person because of what I have, or I'm better than this person because of what my parents have, it could become a real problem. A very, very real problem. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about this. I want to share with you the story of one school of how they're planning to address this larger issue of shaming and how now they're looking and having conversations about creating a dress code policy around this, what they call poverty proofing. Check this out, folks. There is a school in Wirral, England, where the head teacher at the school is called Woodchurch High School. They are moving to ban coats made by expensive brands after consulting with both parents and students. Students will no longer be allowed to sport jackets from Canada Goose, Montclair, or Pyrenex in order to reduce the stress on low-income families to spend beyond their means in order to keep up with higher wage earners. This is interesting, right? So you have a school that's saying that you can't be allowed to wear certain coats because essentially it makes the other students feel bad. The head teacher there, Miss Rebecca Phillips, said that, quote, "We are very concerned about the fact that our children put a lot of pressure on parents to buy them expensive coats. So the school put out a letter informing parents that the Canada Goose, Montclairs, and Pyrenex coats were going to be banned after the Christmas break, and it's causing a real issue. Now, there is a growing movement in the UK, the United Kingdom, and England that is for this new concept called poverty proofing. And this concept of poverty proofing was pioneered by an organization called Children Northeast, which is a children's charity group, about 7.5 years ago. Poverty proofing, according to the website, it is the process of auditing a school to take action against practices and policies that might stigmatize the poorest students. Interesting, right? And they're finding, according to some of the latest research, there was a study that was just put out by the Institute for Fiscal Studies predict that a 7% rise in child poverty between 2015 and 2022, and that various sources are predicting that child poverty rates of as high as 40%, according to this report by the Institute for Fiscal Studies. The report also said that for almost 1 in every 2 children to be poor in 21st century Britain is not just a disgrace, but a social calamity and an economic disaster, all rolled into one. Wow. I want us to have a conversation about this whole idea of poverty proofing, as well as this idea of banning certain clothes because you don't want the lower income students to feel less than. One of the other sides of this issue is this a form of discrimination? You know, you have a student who parents may be quote unquote well off. They've worked hard, however they got their money, and they give the children the things that they think is the best. They give them top quality clothes and all of those things. But now there may be some of those parents that feel like, hey, that's not my fault that some students are poor and I'm not in that condition. I give my children the best because that's how I feel about it. That's where my thinking is. This is a form of discrimination. That's one thing to consider. The other part of this is what message does this send to students? Because let's be honest, folks, remember, it don't matter. If you remember when you were growing up, you were in school, if you were bullied, I was bullied too. You know what I mean? I don't know too many people who weren't bullied, but children can be very, very mean. Yes, they can. They can be so mean, folks. I'm just telling you. I mean, they can talk about your socks. They can talk about your haircut for the week or for the 2 weeks you might have it. I don't know. They could talk about the fact that, your notebook is a different color, or that you don't like, the famous Pokemon, that you might have a different kind of Pokemon on your notebook. Kids can be so cruel. So this one school is trying to figure it all out. How can we get the school? How do we get the staff? How do we get the students to be more sensitive about the socioeconomic status? And they're trying to do it through the dress code. Do you think this is a good way to have this conversation to address this need? Hit me up. 410-319-8888. 410-319-8888. I want to hear your thoughts on this because this seems like it has a lot of layers. And even though it's happening in England, should we really consider this idea of poverty proofing in Baltimore City, around the state of Maryland, or even across the country? Let me know your thoughts. 410-319-8888. I got to take a quick pause. I got to get myself together thinking about those memories. So let me know your thoughts. Hit me up, 410-319-8888. Stay riding with me, folks. We got a whole lot coming up in this first hour of For the Culture, right here on your source for cool jazz and more. WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org. Absolutely the voice of the community. We'll be right back. All right, peace and welcome back to For the Culture, right here on your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org. Absolutely, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and riding with me, folks, for another exciting edition, another great conversation I'm looking to have with you. Tonight, we're talking about dress codes, socioeconomic status, and, of course, poverty proofing, how one school in the United Kingdom has decided to ban certain coats from their school in order to reduce the stress on low-income families to spend beyond their means. Now, I know it's across the waters, folks, but I think there might be something in this case that we could possibly learn from here in the States, because there seems to be an ongoing tradition. It's an unfortunate tradition, but I remember growing up here in the city of Baltimore, man. People, not just children or teenagers, but some people would really lose their lives over material things. Now, there have been certainly some schools that have moved forward on having school uniforms. That's another element of this, right? The safety of school uniforms, everybody looking the same, weren't not necessarily ending up killing each other. But back in the 80s and 90s, when I was a youngster, when I was a little one, you getting up off of those shoes, getting up out of that jacket, that was real. That was real. But should there even be a very an idea of what they're instituting in England? Should there even be something called poverty proofing, which is teaching students and staff on poverty and its impact on education? Share your thoughts with me. 410-319-8888. All right, let's kick it off. Lakeisha, new caller from Baltimore. Lakeisha, what's your take on this?
Well, I agree with the concept of being sensitive to poverty and the needs of students and bullying, but the idea of taking things away and saying you can't wear this or you can't do that, to me just seems like a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. Most of these children, that's a social conditioning issue. Bullying because someone's poor, it's usually when you bully someone, it's because you have a need inside of yourself to feel better than someone. Usually it's because you feel like you're lacking. And you need to teach people to understand why it is that they bully each other. And you really, as adults, when we look at our children, when they're being bullied, I feel like it would be more beneficial to look at how they learn to bully and what it is that we do as adults and what it is that we're showing them about class and about social stature and about how it relates to money and other people's feelings and how it impacts them, and then address them that way. It doesn't necessarily make sense to take something away from them because they're still going to want it. It's not going to change their mind. If anything, it might make a deeper resentment for the idea of poverty proofing, because now you've taken something away from me that by all rights I should be able to have.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're telling me because someone else can't have it, then and my parents work hard for it and their parents don't. You know what I mean? Like those kind of thoughts. They're children. They haven't really learned to think outside of themselves. And I feel like it's more beneficial, instead of taking something away, to put something in them, to teach them to understand that they haven't worked for anything. So how are they better than the next child?
Right.
That, every child has the same opportunity. And I think when we start addressing children on more basic levels, as opposed to what looks good to the outside and how it affects their parents, I think you'll have better outcomes.
You know what what it speaks to what you're saying, Lakeisha, is this sense of entitlement.
Right.
When we see children, and it's sad. I mean, I've seen 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds who have this attitude as if they're better because they don't, but again, if you're coming from a household that's like that put that type of emphasis on material things, then why are we surprised that children are going to reflect those same values?
Oh, no, I'm not surprised at it.
I'm not saying that you're surprised. I'm just saying in general, if you can't expect to have a child who's around that all the time to not mimic that, to not have those same type of sentiments as the adults that speak that same mentality.
That's absolutely true. I agree with that 100%, but we have to think about time when it comes to children.
Yeah.
There's 24 hours in a day. Eight
Yeah.
of those hours, or, you know what I'm saying? And then there's 8 hours at school, about a good 6 solid hours of instruction. When they come home, yes, they're with their families, but most families in this day and age, they're not sitting down at the dinner table and discussing the day. They see their parents behave. And if that's the only thing you're getting in terms of instruction on how you should behave as an adult, then you're right. You're absolutely only going to reflect that. But at the same time, this program was put together thinking about, the needs of attacking it from that way.
Yeah.
You can think about attacking it from the same way that we have diversity trainings at work. We need to have sensitivity trainings in class.
There
you
you
can
go.
take an hour a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
It doesn't
got you.
have to be that kind of thing.
I got you. Lakeisha, appreciate it. Kicking us off strong as our new caller for the night. Let's go to our next new caller, John out of Baltimore. John, what's your take on this? Poverty proofing, and should the dress code be based on your socioeconomic status? John, what's your thoughts?
So, as a student, when I went to middle school,
Yeah.
they tried to employ a similar thing.
Okay.
In terms of they didn't have they had dress code just because they didn't want people to come in with Nikes and whatever in order to keep everybody feeling the same. And honestly, it's a really complex issue because on one hand, you really do want to try to get rid of this material focus that's super prevalent even in Baltimore among the students. I mean, people do value their iPhones and their Nikes and their Gucci and all that stuff. They do. They
Yeah.
do. But like on the other hand, you really don't want to limit people. You don't want to have to say, okay, well, you can't wear this because your parents spend too much money. Like you have to limit yourself. I don't think that's it's super confusing for me because I really have this knee-jerk reaction to say, that you shouldn't do that, right? But on the other hand, I've seen how it can affect students.
It can grow out of control, right?
Right. I've seen how students can really come after each other for being that way. But and then this is the one step further, because even if you have these dress codes, people will still find permanent qualities about another person that they can insult.
Right. There it is.
Like your phone, like your face, like your ethnicity, your skin color, your language. They'll find something else. So even if it's not your how much money you make, if someone really wants to come after you for something about yourself, they'll come after you.
They will come after you.
So the solution to the problem is that, sensitivity is a big thing, and you're teaching people to respect greater values other than material, because that's a huge issue, especially in Baltimore, with students just worrying about money and the physical things that they can have.
I totally agree. John, thank you so much for checking in, being our next new caller. Let's go to Marcel out of Baltimore. Marcel, what's your take? We got Marcel?
Yes, sir.
All right, Marcel, thank you for checking in. What's your take on this, bro?
It's interesting. I got a chance to spend time in the actual areas in Europe in those particular facilities.
Okay.
And I remember performing there, and I remember meeting with a particular organization that was trying to convince the families to get off of welfare because in many cases it was overwhelming majority, I think like 60% or 70% of the people, that the kids were able to get a car out of high school, they were able to get an apartment on welfare, they were able to get a phone, they were able to get almost anything in Europe pretty much on welfare. And they had organizations trying to convince the kids to want something different.
Right.
And so when I'm familiar with that policy there, I don't agree with it at all. I don't agree with the uniformity because I feel like it continues to lower the standard. My mom is a professor at Morgan State, but when we were growing up, we had shoes from Kmart. And that was a horrible feeling. I remember my grandmother said to me, my father's mother said, I saw some shoes, and I said, man, I can't. Well, they cost too much. And my grandmother said, don't ever say it costs too much. Just say you can't afford it.
Right.
It helps you take ownership of your life. And she said, if this is enterprise, how are they better than you?
Right.
If this is business, how are they smarter than you? They're not. They know some principles or some fundamentals that you don't know. 85% of the people are not impoverished, even in Baltimore. We're talking about 15%. So what we're saying is, hey, let's lower the standard for the 85 that's fighting to take it to the next level, so the 15% don't have to feel some sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do agree In some senses of people rubbing in your nose, and I get it. But, even in the scriptures, David says, don't give me too little, I'll steal from you. Don't give me too much, God, I'll forget you. Just give me my daily bread. So that feeling you feel, that we feel today in terms of poverty, people have been feeling that 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Coming to school hungry, that feeling actually drives that 1,700 new millionaires per day in America. One of the number one drivers for that when they invest and build businesses is they talk about their childhood upbringing.
Yeah.
So in free enterprise, that feeling is incredibly necessary, in my opinion, to some degree, and incredibly healthy. So I agree with the initial caller when she called in that the uniformity, I don't know about that because it's not going to really go away. And if you keep lowering the standard, all it's going to do is make the kids more insecure. I think that we have to come to some sort of a medium. Maybe they should have uniforms, but I don't think the uniform should be based on, I don't want you to feel bad because these other families' choices to bring more resources to that family. I don't agree with that point.
Hey, Marcel, said a mouthful, and I appreciate you for checking in. Thank you so much. Look, folks, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Glord from Gwen Oak, I know you got something to say. Sam, another new caller checking in. D, I got you. Troy, Wes, don't go anywhere. We'll continue the conversation for the next 30 as we talk about, should the dress code policy be based on your socioeconomic status? There's a school in England right now, folks, that are looking to ban certain certain coats because they don't want to make lower income students feel worse or less than. What's your take on that? Is this a form of discrimination? Is this send the wrong message to students? And they're using this based upon a concept called poverty proofing, where they're basically saying, we want to put the staff in a better space and be able to really understand the sensitivity and impact of poverty on education. Give me your thoughts. 410-319-8888. That's 410-319-8888. Stay riding with me. It's For the Culture here on your source for cool jazz and more on WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org. We'll be right back.
Public radio is a partnership, and we at WEAA 88.9 are in partnership with you. Each day, we do the best possible job we can to bring you radio that's enjoyable. In exchange, we ask that you show your support and make a financial contribution to WEAA. Listeners like you provide the most important source of income. So it's simple. Take a moment right now to join the Public Radio Partnership. Call 443-885-2075, or you can give online at WEAA.org. Thank you.
Join Robert Shahid as he shares the powerful elements that is music and its history on Masterclass, Monday through Friday at noon. You don't want to miss this culinary feast for your ears, only on WEAA 88.9 FM, the voice of the community.
Not sure if you are a current WEAA member? Call us at 443-885-2075.
I do this for my culture. I do this for my culture. I do this for my culture.
All right, peace and welcome back to For the Culture, right here on your source for cool jazz and more, WEAA 88.9 FM and WEAA.org. Absolutely, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for checking in and riding with me, folks. Tonight, we are continuing the conversation for the second half of the second 30 of the show, talking about dress code policy, how there's a school in England that is looking to ban coats made by expensive brands after consulting with both parents and pupils. The students will no longer be allowed to wear sports jackets from Canada Goose, Montclair, or Pyrenex in order to reduce the stress on low-income families to spend beyond their means in order to keep up with higher earners. This is based upon an idea of poverty proofing in schools, which is looking to gain ground in the United Kingdom. And this ban is taking place at Woodchurch High School. And it's a way for the school to remove some of the stigma and the pain and the hurt of not having quite as much as students have with their peers. What are your thoughts on this? Is this something, this idea of poverty proofing, is this something that we should consider here in the States? That's all I'm throwing it out there. More importantly, should a dress code policy be based upon your socioeconomic status? I don't know. Let's go back to the lines, hear what you got to say. Let's go to West out of Ellicott City. West, thank you so much for checking in, your patience. What's your take?
Roger, thanks so much. So, I think it is a very complex issue, but I do say that, we can kind of look at it from a couple different ways. One of the ways we can look at the situation is we can look at maybe like the economic area in which the schools exist. And if like the median household has the means to afford maybe some of the different codes or like just a certain way of living, then I say, hey, we shouldn't err on the side of uniformity. But if you have a mixed bag where, you have different families coming from different economic backgrounds, and I think, yeah, it makes sense to have uniformity because what it does, yeah, it might temporarily be putting a Band-Aid on the situation. But yeah. I think that if we look at it holistically, maybe, the school is trying to do their step with trying to, teach these kids in general, like the education, without having one more social economic issue or just another social issue enter the school that they have to kind of deal with.
That's what and Wes, that's the whole purpose. The purpose is, according to that whole idea of the poverty proofing website in the UK, is saying to remove some of the barriers that lead to educational success and achievement. So they're finding that it's more barriers. The poverty is a barrier, especially when you're talking about students coming from different backgrounds mixing in, and then you might have one student who's not as enthusiastic about education versus another student just because of their socioeconomic background.
Yeah, right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it kind of prevents that whole like, hey, teachers having to deal with fights that might occur because kids are, kind of envious or jealous because they don't have certain material items like other kids. I mean, I think that, private schools, for example, they do a pretty good job at it. They have this kind of uniform approach where kids wear like the same different, type of attire. But I also think that, what happens or how do you deal with the parent who wants to send their kid to a prospective school or wherever? And, they might be a single parent. They might have to work 2 and 3 jobs and they're trying to do the absolute best, but they still receive the pressure from their kid. Like, hey, Mom, I really want this jacket. Or, hey, Dad, I really want this jacket. I mean, that exists. I remember coming up, first downs and Averex jackets used to be the thing back in the early 90s.
Remember the Averex, man?
Oh, absolutely.
Wes, that's what I wanted, man. My father was like, hell to the no. You're not getting the Averex jacket.
Right. So it was like, then when what they started doing was they knew that families, were really trying to get this thing. And so what they had the all leather Averex jackets and they had like kind of the wool ones. And like, you still would kind of get a little bit of jokes if you had the wool and didn't have the leather. So it's almost like, I think it gets rid of a lot of that because it's almost like, well, hey, if these kids just have to come here and learn, let's try to eliminate as many distractions as possible.
That's all it is.
For uniformity and making sure that, these kids are kind of like not wearing certain things. It doesn't minimize and say that, hey, your parents can't afford to get you this, that, or third. And I don't think it's a situation of, hey, poverty, it should be the driver that should, give you the thought to say, hey, I want to get out of this. No, because what if you have a parent that's doing the absolute best that they could possibly do? They still haven't quite yet met the mark for you as a kid, but you shouldn't have to be minimized because you come from a different situation from somebody else. So it's almost like saying if we use our ethnicity or our color, or because I wasn't born a certain color, or because I wasn't born a certain type of way, that minimizes who I am. Carter G. Woodson said it best in The Miseducation of the Negro. But, I think that's just a loaded a loaded gun that kids shouldn't have to deal with.
There
so
it
why
is.
not make it universal for everybody?
Wes, I appreciate it. You said a lot, and I agree with you. I think it's a big loaded gun. Wes from Ellicott City, thank you so much for checking in. All right, Glord from Gwynn Oak, let's talk, sir. What's your take?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing today?
I'm good, Glord. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for letting me ride. And you're right on the topic. I was born right there in Sandtown, Winchester, right at Fremont and Riggs. Fremont and Riggs. Poor. We was poor. And I know you probably know the school, Booker T.
Oh, yeah.
Douglas, all those schools, man. We had to deal with kids that could afford to buy those designer shoes, designer coats. In England, they starting off with the coats when they got other issues. And we got plenty of issues over here. So about 20, 30 years ago, when they started the uniforms, these schools, that made a big difference. Because now we didn't feel too bad because we couldn't afford certain coats, certain shoes, and everything. So when they started that, now we could go to school and learn. But the thing is, these kids and families that could afford that stuff, that was fine. So the thing is, when they go out or wherever they go, they can dress up and wear what they want to wear. But in the schools, that made it a lot better for people that could not afford to deal with those situations. And I'm telling you, because it made a big difference in my family, was 8 of us, and other kids in the neighborhood. So the uniform schools is a good thing.
Well, but you know what, Gloria, we don't see it across the board, though. I mean, even in Baltimore City, it's not like we see that across the board. You know, it's not a requirement for all high schools or middle schools to have uniforms.
No, of course not. But the thing is, they just concentrate on certain schools that was having the issue.
Yeah.
So eventually it might get to that point.
Yes, sir.
But right now, because people, it's about a money thing. They want their kids to pay a whole lot of money for these tennis shoes and coats. Fine, And the parents, they need to take control of that, but some parents don't care. They'll probably use expensive cell phones and everything. But eventually, it might be across the board. But right now, they're just concentrating on certain schools that actually need it.
Yep, that's a good place to start. Hey, Glord, I appreciate that
Yes,
context.
sir.
Let's go to Sam, Northwest Baltimore, new caller to the show. Sam, what's your take on this?
Well, good evening.
Good evening, Sam.
Family, I am the originator of the uniforms. In the 1988, I went to Jamaica, and I saw how much serious poverty there was there. But I saw how the children were so much more progressive. After being an educator here in Baltimore since 1969, when I went to Jamaica and I saw the children, before even going to school, getting up to do their chores in the morning, and then getting into uniforms where everybody looked so beautiful and so graceful. And when you think about it, all of the prestigious schools in the United States or all over the world are in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that because they were snatching gold chains off of children. And we need to understand, especially as African Americans, about materialism and how it has been used from day one to divide us. Anything that someone else has that is, not of the norm, or, is not in multitude, people